Peace to all the gods and goddesses. Back again with the vibes of the divine. I am the god Shango, and today, get ready to take another deep dive into this electrifying world of the Young Thug RICO trial. Let's get into it, family.
You know, basically a brainchild of David and I throughout the years working, first 48 working cases.
Wow.
We hooked up with some dope.
Having a glass of
and then,
wine.
yeah, drinking a Corona, and from there, that sparked some interest, and then they started shopping this thing around. And I mean, TV1 came in and was like, look, you guys are exactly what we're looking for.
Well, how long?
This is other media outlets.
Wow.
TV1 saw the 2-minute sizzle reel, they were all over it. Because what was interesting, they said, we want you to be you on the screen like you are in the street.
Yeah.
And that's what's up. And they let us, help out with the producing. It was lovely. And that's the thing with us. When we looked at what you had, on the street, this is how we, yeah.
Okay, so what contracts? So we've done some in the past for maybe 25,000 for like 6 months a year. And that saves us money because if we have to hire an employee, there's still 69% benefits. That would cost us a lot of money. So we use short-term contracts so that we can save money.
She was called back, and she had to put her attention on Frederick Prothrow, is alleged to have done the thing that is causing them to make the statement.
It depends. Like I said, it depends on, you have to look at,
Crawford tells us in his progeny, and even in our jurisdiction in Georgia, you have to look at the primary purpose of the call. Was it testimonial in nature? Was it made for the purpose of gathering criminal or fostering for use for trial or for potential criminal prosecution? There are certain exceptions to it, and the emergency situation is one. But even with the emergency situation, Pitts tells me, got to look at whether or not some of those particular statements are in fact testimonial. So even if I believe, first I got to decide whether or not it's testimonial or not, and even if I decide it is non-testimonial, it's an emergency, then some of then I have to look at, and Pitts directs me, I got to look at very carefully whether or not some of those statements are in fact maybe testimonial in nature. So that's what I'm required to do.
And Your Honor, we are looking at a caller who's describing and trying to get the police to respond, even when the 911 operator is asking her who was shot. In other words, she's telling her, I need you to come. I'm not sure what the apartment is. She's in building C when you're coming around through the gates. The 911 operator is trying to get information about the shooting. And that is why, Your Honor, the whole purpose for exceptions for hearsay are to put forth things that are trustworthy. And hearsay within hearsay is not, it is absolutely admissible. And the court knows, I don't even have to say this, it is only for the purposes of the record, that these new evidence rules are rules of inclusion. So much so that the rules don't say it can be admitted if you have an exception. 248805 specifically says hearsay included within hearsay shall not be excluded. Under the hearsay rule.
Well, Ms. Love, I'll tell you. Spratling, which was decided in 2023, says if I don't make a proper analysis under Crawford, vacate and remand. So,
and Your Honor,
so I got to make sure I get it right, okay?
And Your Honor, I'm with the court. I'm absolutely with the court, and I have an equal desire, if not greater, to make certain that it is right. And
I have 5 minutes, okay? I'm going to take a break. And because your 30 seconds is never 30 seconds.
30 seconds and I will sit.
You can stand there, that's fine.
I just want you to think you understand, and I'm not saying you don't understand, but The Carter case that was just cited, 315 Georgia 214, it's in Division 3. A doesn't apply, that's the B is what the state was talking about. And, Your Honor,
There was no objection in this case either, so, in the Carter case, no objection, so.
but look what happened.
And they had to review it under plain error, too.
Yes,
So,
and
yeah.
Fox was told by Miss Mann, God forbid Valerie Mann was killed. Fox testified. Valerie Mann, God forbid, is dead. And she told Carter. Carter testified. That is not even close. So I don't have anybody to cross that. That's my 30 seconds.
All right.
And, Your Honor, I'll give the court, if the court already has page 3 of 4 of Pitts, where the court said the caller in this instance.
Yeah, I have Pitts, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Was not, they were not concerned with establishing evidentiary facts or bearing testimony. That's the part against the defendant. And the court found that the same analysis was applicable in Pitts. That the 911, that portion of the 911 caller, they were not concerned with establishing evidentiary facts. They were concerned with getting Young Thug out of their neighbor's home.
Okay. All right. Give me 5 minutes. Take comfort. Y'all can do the same. We'll be back. Okay. As well as a laundromat that is in the vicinity where a car crashed into a laundromat. In considering whether or not the 911 call on September the 11th of 2013 would be admissible, I'll note that we have an unknown female who's relating statements from another female in regards to a situation that was ongoing at that particular point in time. The first thing that it implicates is, since the state has told me that neither the unknown females will be available for trial, then it presents the issue of the confrontation clause. So the court has had an opportunity to consider and determine whether or not the confrontation clause of the United States Constitution is violated by the admission of a 911 emergency telephone call when the caller does not testify at trial. This is similarly the issue that was decided in Pitts. So our Supreme Court in Pitts, which is 280 Georgia 288, holds that the confrontation clause is not violated where a caller's primary purpose is not to provide evidence against the accused, but to rather thwart an ongoing crime. Is a 3-page transcript of this particular 911 call made on September the 11th of 2013. So I have to decide first whether or not the telephone call is made to avert a crime in progress or seek immediate or seeking assistance in a situation involving immediate danger, or whether or not the primary purpose is testimonial for the purposes of prosecution or to gather potential information later for prosecution. That's the first step. Also in Pitts, the court or the Supreme Court is also cautionary in terms of trial courts. However, we do caution that in certain circumstances, a caller may shift from a non-testimonial statement into a testimonial one. So it cautions us, or the decision cautions trial courts. In future cases, trial courts must decide whether a caller's primary purpose has shifted from such a manner to render portions of the call testimonial in nature. In this particular circumstance, the court is of the opinion, based upon the testimony that the court has heard, to include the arguments of counsel, to include the admission of the 911 hearing of the 911 call, as well as the defendant Williams number 4, and testimony in regards to the instances of the purported shooting at Summerdale Apartments, the car crashing into the laundromat some short distance away, and the purported phone call from from Somerdale Commons, the court is of the opinion that the primary purpose of the call was not for the purposes of prosecution, but more so for the purposes of relating an emergency situation. So the call itself, I'm going to admit, is admit for those purposes and for the jury's consideration. However, going further, as Pitts directs me to do so, I will order that the portion of the call and/or transcript that starts at unknown female, I have no idea, baby, I promise you I can't tell you all that I don't know. Only thing I know is that she came running, she came to my house. It'll stop there. It will pick up, the guy is in her house. So I don't know how you all can do that. I'm going to try and get her out of the house, but she won't answer the phone right now. The particular part that I will excise will be starting at Ann told me that the guy that shot someone named Young Thug or whoever that's supposed to be shot someone, I will excise those out as those are testimonial in nature. And the court will so the entire paragraph will read, I have no idea, baby, I promise you, I can't tell you all that I don't know. Only thing I know is she came running, she came to my house, the guy is in her house. So I don't know how you all can do that. I'm trying to get her out of the house, but she won't answer her phone now. Everything else in the transcript of that call is admissible as it would relate to an emergency situation. Doing in terms of comfort. Anybody? Oh, there's always somebody. Okay, before we go ahead and continue counsels, I think we'll go ahead and take a comfort stretch break. Let's just take 10 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be in recess and we'll see you all in about 10 minutes, okay?
12:32 p.m. hours.
What was the location?
Old Hateville Road at Cleveland Avenue, Southwest Atlanta.
Now, up at the top, what was the call type and description?
It shows a 39 on the 25. It's information for the office advising shots fired in the area.
Now, looking at the CAD narrative, Ms. Ladders, at 12:36, can you describe what, or can you help explain what it starts with CLR and then ADV? Can you read that and describe what that means?
Call advised in Building C. Perp who was seen shooting is hiding in this home.
What up, fam? Thank you for being here. I know last time a lot of y'all wanted to hear that call, so we're going to start off in that area tonight. Still playing catch up. I kind of overslept a little bit. My fault, family, but we here. Let's get it in. Appreciate y'all being here. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, tap in, share with a friend. Let's get on into it, family.
And right underneath that, Ms. Lattners, what is it? It starts with unit.
It shows request unit to check and advise. Call advise her friend, her female friend is not answering the phone from that location.
And Ms. Lattners, it also has RI, then it says related to, and then it has numbers ending in 1038. Can you explain for the jury what that indicates?
It indicates sometimes we get more than one 911 call from the area, from the location. So the operator creates another incident number, but she related to the first incident 911 call that came into the center.
And Ms. Lattners, if you look at those numbers that end in 1038, and can you look at what we've already talked about, 120 Charlie, and I want to ask you if they are the same or different.
They're advised they're related, so they're the same.
And Ms. Lattners, can you read for the record what that incident number that it's related to is?
132541038.
And right beneath that, when it says C CADs for 1038, what does that indicate?
Operator telling the dispatcher to see CAD, the last 4 digit 1038.
So after this call came in with that, would some of the CAD traffic be captured on the 120 Charlie we discussed when we started?
Yes.
Atlanta 911 operator 6197. What's the address of the emergency?
It's not an emergency. The guy that shot the guy on how Cleveland Avenue, he's in my friend apartment, and she's panicking. She don't know what to do.
Okay, what's going on?
So y'all hear that right there, right? She said, she started off with, it's not an emergency. Like, that's her first words. And he already said he wasn't going to use it, but then he still brought it in.
There's a guy on how.
Atlanta 911 operator 6197. What's the address of the emergency?
It's not an emergency. The guy that shot the guy on how Cleveland Avenue, he's in my friend apartment, and she's panicking. She don't know what to do.
Okay, what's going on?
There's a guy, I guess somebody must have shot somebody over here where I said, over here in Summerdale. But you cannot come to my house or
Okay, ma'am. When I come to your location, I just need to know what's going on. Was somebody shot recently?
Yes, about 5 police say where I go.
Okay. What's the location?
It's over here on Cleveland Avenue.
Cleveland Avenue. What else, ma'am? I need numbers or 2 Cross Street?
Old Hateville. Old
Hateville in Cleveland Avenue?
Yes. I don't want to talk loud. I don't want to get myself in no trouble.
That's fine. Okay. You said okay, the mail is inside of what home?
My friend apartment. She panicking. She don't know what to do.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
But she got her mom and her baby now.
Okay. All right. And what's the
number? We stay in the new townhouses in Summerdale, and she stay in building C, but I'm not for sure what the apartment number is. But she stay in building C. When you come around, you come through the gate.
Okay, so who was shot?
I have no idea, babe. I promise I can't tell y'all that. I don't know. I don't think I know. She came to my house. This guy is in her house. So I don't know how y'all can do that. I'm trying to get her out the house, but she wants the phone now.
Okay, all right. Okay, so you saying the female won't answer the phone?
I just tried to call her phone. And she got her baby and her mama now.
Okay. All right. And do you want to leave your name or number?
No.
Okay.
Please don't call me that.
Yes, ma'am.
He know my children. No.
Okay. All right.
I want to come back and retaliate against things.
Okay. What's the apartments or the duplex name?
They Summerdale townhouse. Not the old Summerdale. They the new one.
Okay. Is there a gate code to get in?
Never call it now. You got to have a gate code get in, but the back gate is open.
Okay.
Everybody standing out here.
Okay. We'll get somebody out.
Yeah, but I'm trying to get her out the house on the mama, but they want the phone now.
Okay.
She don't know what to do. She panicking.
Okay, but she's in the building C, correct?
Building C. When you come around, when you come through the gate, come around. But I'm not for sure what the number is on her apartment number.
All right, we'll get somebody out. Okay.
All right, please don't tell us how to make the call.
Yes, ma'am. We won't. Well, they won't call you back, and I don't have your name.
All right, thanks.
All right.
So last night I posted the full call plus some of Adams Cross Adams. Some of Adams Cross. I posted it last night because it's a long clip. So if y'all want to tap into that, it's available on my channel. Other than that, let's keep it going, family. What up, everybody? Aries 1, I see you rolling in. Appreciate you being here. Let's keep it going, fam.
Yes, sir. My name is Gregory Pfeiffer. GREGORYPEIFFER.
Good morning, Mr. Piper.
Good morning.
What is your current occupation?
I'm currently a forensic biologist. My duties at the ATF are to be a forensic biologist, which means to process evidence as it relates to ATF incidents, to analyze evidence for DNA, to generate reports, and to testify in court. Analyze biological material for the presence of DNA profiles, generate reports, and testify in court.
Okay. And Mr. Piper, do you belong to any professional organizations?
Do. I belong to the American Academy of Forensic Sciences as a member of that organization.
Tall Glass, what up, though?
It would have been around 2014 to current. That is not a requirement to be a forensic biologist. There's actually a small subset of forensic biologists that are certified. There's a certifying body, the American Board of Criminalistics. I hold with that body a certification in molecular biology, which is under the umbrella of forensic DNA analysis. And I am current and open with that certification.
Okay. And have you been previously qualified to testify as a forensic biologist and DNA examiner?
In court?
Yes.
Yes.
And about how many times?
I believe this will be my 16th testimony, plus or minus one.
Good morning, doctor. I just have a couple of questions for you, if I may. You're given, in essence, 3 firearms and the items that came with the firearms that you looked at and identified here today. Is that fair to say?
That is correct.
And on 2 of the firearms, there was not enough DNA to test to determine who was a major contributor. Is that a fair analysis of what you told us?
That is an explanation. However, I would expand upon that and say, in these instances, there was almost too much DNA to test, given that the numbers of contributors that were in these samples were higher than the complexity in which I could evaluate the sample. So it wasn't too little information, it was the complexity of the profile.
And then the one firearm that you were able to have a major contributor, just tell ladies and gentlemen, jury, which firearm that was.
That was the firearm from item 4A to reference the report. So the correct firearm is the Taurus 9mm pistol.
And then you have major contributors and not major contributors. Is that a fair way to say it?
The major contributor and the non-suitable minor components.
And the major contributor you said is, to a scientific degree that you specified already, is a gentleman you're calling Mr. Walter Murphy. Fair to say?
There is evidence to include Walter Murphy as a possible contributor to the major component from that DNA profile, given the scientific weight stated earlier.
He said part of his job is to testify. You could tell by looking at him like, it's part of his job. It's in his job description, is to testify.
Now, you also mentioned that a gentleman, Mr. Prethro, remember that name?
Yes.
And he was excluded from the major component of that DNA. Is that fair to say?
Yes. From the component of the profile that we made comparisons to, he was excluded from that component.
And the same question and then same answer, I believe, for the person named Mr. Bean. Fair.
I stand in objection, Mr. Foreman. You can rephrase it, Mr.
Okay. It's going to be the same question. As to Mr. Bean, remember that name?
Yes, sir.
Adrian Bean. That person, DNA, the known sample, was excluded from the major contributor on that item. Is that fair to say?
Yes, from the component of the mixture that I was able to draw comparisons to, Mr. Adrian Bean was also excluded.
Okay. Does not mean that Mr. Bean was not on that firearm, but we're talking about the major component. True?
That is correct. No assumptions or comparisons were made to the additional contributors beyond, as the report identifies, I think it's
Mr. Murphy.
first profile, or the major component?
Mr. Murphy.
Mr. The sample that is associated with Mr. Murphy.
I want to thank you, Doctor. Your Honor, thank you so much.
All right, any further examination? Where we are.
Yo, shout out to the Cat Not Williams gang all in the chat. Appreciate y'all being here, family. Y'all roll deep, I see. They pulled up thick.
And let you know kind of the plan, the way ahead. I'd like to be able to delay our lunch just a little bit so we can take a witness, but the trade-off is that we're going to recess for the day after that particular witness, depending upon the length. Okay, so you get an early afternoon, and as I mentioned earlier, tomorrow, Friday, you'll appear for 12:30. We'll get started around 1 o'clock and work the afternoon. All right, so. Can we do that? We'll take another witness, see what the length of time is, and if it's where I think it will probably be, we're probably going to recess somewhere between 1 and 2 o'clock for the afternoon, okay? All right. Call your next witness, madam, or sir.
Your Honor, the stand.
Sir, if you would please approach the witness stand. Once you get there, before you sit down, if you would turn and face Sergeant Ingram to be sworn as a witness, please. Stand up, please. Okay, there you go. All right.
So I affirm testimony you give the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Sir.
Have a seat. State the spell, your first and last name, of course.
It's Eduardo Nava, EDUARDONAVA.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yo, big shout out to Shot Diggy. Appreciate that Cash App last time. My phone was off, so I missed the ding, but we appreciate that. Appreciate you being here. Yo, who remember this guy right here? Who remember this?
Did you,
After that, we wanted to get some weed. I think Brian knew.
Eduardo Nava. Y'all remember him? And Quinn? In the Bean incident?
Exactly where to get it, so he led me to a place. I don't think he spoke with anybody.
After that, what did y'all do at that gas station initially?
We waited for a minute.
And what did you do after waiting at the gas station?
We left that gas station.
Where did you go?
We went to where he knew where to get some weed.
And how close was it to that gas station?
I'd say about 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes.
And when you got there, was it a house, an apartment? Where was this location you all went to?
I believe it was a house. I don't think there was anything else connected to it. Maybe a subdivision, but I don't think it was, I think it might have been a house.
And when you all arrived, were you still driving at this time?
I believe I was driving, unless he took over at the gas station, but I'm pretty sure I was driving.
And did Brian, did Brian direct you from the gas station to that house?
Right.
And when you got there, what did you see?
I just saw a normal house, so we parked and got out. I believe Brian was the only white person there, Mexican. I don't believe there was any Mexicans there. There were some black people there.
And were you speaking with anyone there? Was Brian speaking with anyone there?
Brian was speaking with them. I didn't say a word while I was there.
And while you were there, why did you not say a word?
I wasn't familiar. I didn't know the people.
Were you, how long were you all there, roughly?
After we showed up until we left?
Yes.
A good hour or two.
Did you ever get any weed or what you were looking for?
No.
Where was your car once you went inside the house?
It was in the driveway.
And did anything ever happen with that car?
While it was in the driveway?
Correct.
No, it stayed in the driveway.
Did anything happen with the car while you were at this house?
Yes, it was apparently borrowed.
How did it get, as you say, borrowed? What do you mean by that?
Don't exactly know how this happened. I do remember.
He pronounced his name on stand Eduardo Nava. Why everybody else call him Nava Flores? Or Flores Nava. That's what Hilton called him. Flores Nava. I mean, Nava Flores.
I remember being really faded, kind of in and out of what I would say consciousness, I was pretty messed up trying to look for the next high. I don't really recall what the conversation was, but someone had mentioned that they needed a car, to borrow a car. Didn't expect mine to be borrowed. Next thing I know, my car's gone.
And had you said you were faded. What were you using back then?
Everything under the sun.
Was Brian using along with you?
Yes.
And did you all use before you got to the house?
I might have. I don't exactly know what he was on, but I was a regular pill addict and.
Understand. Did somebody else who was not Brian and you ever get in that car?
Did someone else other than Brian or me get in the car? I believe someone had to get in the car for it to leave. Yes.
And where were you when they got in the car?
I believe I was in between, inside and outside, maybe on the steps.
Did you see them get in the car?
Don't exactly remember seeing them get in the car, but I've seen it pull off.
And do you remember after this speaking with anyone in the Atlanta Police Department?
If I'm not mistaken, we left the place just because we weren't getting any weed, we weren't getting anything, and it had been a good minute.
Yo, FFS saying an hour or two for some trees. Facts, yeah, right. He wasn't there for no trees. He was there doped up and passed out. He was like, yeah, you can take the car, whatever, bro. Just give me a little bit of that. Just bring it back safely. Trying to act like he was there passed out asleep off some trees. But he did say he was popping pills and stuff too. So maybe he just went to get some trees. But what weed man gonna let you just come over? You ain't never met him and just pass out on his couch. That sound more like a dope spot, like some serious dope.
So we left.
That you arrived in the house September 11th.
Right. It was the same thing.
Appreciate the new subscription too. Appreciate y'all, family. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, tap in, share with a friend as you come in.
And it was Detective Quinn with the Atlanta Police Department?
Objection, pleading.
I stand objection.
Was Quinn that you spoke with in the Atlanta Police Department?
I cannot recollect.
Do you remember speaking with him that day?
I do not know who Mr. Quinn is.
But did you speak with a detective on scene about the car?
Yes.
And was this, when you were speaking with him, was this before or after the car was borrowed?
This was before or after, sorry.
And when you gave him that statement, do you remember speaking with him in that moment?
Yes.
And did you, when you spoke with the detective, do you remember, or did you tell him what happened that day fresher in your memory when you spoke with him that moment?
At that point, I think I was just saying anything to get myself out of trouble. I was really scared of getting in trouble for buying weed. So I was fabricating a lot of the things.
Did you tell anyone else, did you speak with anyone else other than the detective?
I think there was a bunch of news cameras there that I spoke to. I think I might have been on the news.
You spoke with the news?
Yeah. At that point, I told him something completely different than what I had told the detective.
Can you describe the person that you lent the car to?
I did not lend the car to anybody.
Question and mischaracterization of the evidence. Nothing he loaned talking.
Could you please stop speaking your objections? It's objection basis. I don't need an explanation, Mr. Adams.
Make your objection, Judge.
Did you ever loan the car to anyone, Mr.
I stand the objection as to form.
Was that car ever loaned to someone by you?
No.
Did you ever give the keys to Brian?
I don't believe I handed him the keys.
When you spoke with Detective Quinn.
Objection.
Basis.
Hey, Shot Dicky, if he did have his name changed and they still calling him Flores Nava, that's pretty fucked up, trying to bring him back into his history. They know he got a past drug problem, so you might be right, but that's cold if they ain't calling him by his new name. That's disrespectful. That's like Cassius Clay Muhammad Ali.
Your Honor,
what was the basis, sir?
Objection. Facts not an evidence. Form of the question.
Your Honor, this is impeachment.
Hold on.
I'm the gatekeeper.
I stand as the form of the question.
When you spoke with the law enforcement officer,
I'm the gatekeeper.
did you tell him that you gave the keys to Brian Ransom that day?
I could have said a number of things that were not true.
did you tell the law enforcement officer that you gave the keys to Brian Ransom on September 11th, 2020?
I do not recollect.
Did you let Brian Ransom borrow your car?
Objection, asked and answered.
I'm gonna overrule the objection, Mr. Holmes.
Yo, shout out to 901 Don Diva. Appreciate you being here. This is Eduardo Nava, a.k.a. Nava Flores. He's the one who let Bean borrow the car that they crashed into the laundromat. Or his friend let him borrow the car, but it was his girlfriend's car. Hold on. So his friend let him borrow Eduardo Flores. Oh shit! Now I'm confusing myself. Flores Nava's girlfriend's car, and that's the one that they crashed into the laundromat when Bean ran out and the lace front rig and all that, and DK got shot, and Fred Pretro got shot.
What was the question?
While you were at the house, did you
Right.
let Brian Ransom borrow your car?
I don't think I let him borrow the car. I didn't let anybody borrow the car.
Do you recall telling the detective that you let Brian borrow your car?
I do not recollect that.
How many, did you see anyone who went into your car?
I did not.
I sustain the question.
Do you recall telling Detective Quinn that you saw 4 black males get in that car?
Objection, assumes facts not in evidence.
I'll overrule that, sir.
I do not recollect anybody getting in the car.
How long did you stay at the house after your car left that location?
Had been about 2 hours.
Do you recall telling Detective Quinn that it was about 3 to 4 minutes before that car left that you heard police sirens?
No, I do not. No, it was a good bit.
Did you ever see that car again after it left the house?
After it left the house, yes, I saw it where it was wrecked.
How did you know where to go?
We just went to the nearest gas station.
Do you recall telling Detective Quinn that you heard police sirens and followed him to the car?
No, once we started walking, we saw all the police, and luckily we were already out, and we felt something was wrong, so we went towards where they were going.
What any of the males who got in your car were wearing?
Absolutely not, no.
Do you recall telling Detective Quinn that one of the guys was wearing a white shirt, a white t-shirt?
No.
Do you know how quickly they got into your car when they jumped into it at that house?
No.
Do you recall telling Detective Quinn that the 4 black males got in your car like this?
At that point, I was telling whoever the detective, anything to get myself out of the situation.
Did you initially tell the police that your car was borrowed from that house?
I think initially I said that I was at the gas station. It got stolen from the gas station.
So your first statement to police was that the car was stolen?
Yes. It was recorded, and then he erased it, and he re-recorded it.
Re-recorded?
Another statement. He said, that's lies. Tell me the truth. He said, I'm going to delete it and record again. I said, okay.
You're talking about the detective?
The detective. Yes, sir.
Have you ever been in a position where you took a statement from a witness, you recorded it, and then you decided you're going to delete it and not send it over to anyone?
No.
That would be wrong?
Yes.
Tell the jurors why that would be wrong.
Because that's evidence. You're deleting evidence. It doesn't matter if that evidence showed that it meant nothing, but it was a part of your investigative file.
If it is it a crime to delete evidence?
I'm sure it is, yes.
Called obstruction of justice?
Amongst other things.
Tampering with evidence?
And probably oath of office.
Violation of oath of a police officer's office if an officer did that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I want to ask you.
You were investigator for 17 years, I think you indicated?
Yes, sir.
During those 17 years of investigating crimes, did you have an occasion to interview witnesses?
I did.
Did you have an occasion to get statements from those witnesses?
Yes.
Did you, during the course of your investigations, did you start an interview with a person and record it and then erase the recording?
I've done that.
He did that. She said that's a crime. Violation. Excuse me. She said that's a crime. Violation of oath of office. violation of his duties as a police officer, and they erasing statements. So that's a crime, right? And they work with 3 or more. Ain't that RICO or nah? Hit the like, hit the subscribe, tap in, share with a friend. Let me know if that's a RICO or not. That's a crime, right? With 3 or more, repping the same gang, Fulton County.
I took off all my necklaces, gonna see the plot twist. Magnificent preferences, you can tell by the letterman. You can tell by the letterman. You can tell
The state is objecting on cross-examination, oftentimes to, and I'm quoting, facts not in evidence. I researched that. That has only been used in closing argument and a hypothetical. So these are not hypothetical. So if it's okay with the court, can we have a continuing objection to any ruling sustaining that type of objection?
I'm not inclined to do that because there are circumstances where predicate facts have not been introduced before the fact finder, and that objection would be valid.
Do you recall telling Detective Quinn exactly what, do you recall telling Detective Quinn that you and Brian initially told the police that the car was stolen, but now you're going to tell the truth?
I don't get the form of the questions here.
Do you recall telling Detective Quinn that initially you and Brian told him that the car was stolen, but now you're going to tell the truth about what really happened?
Yes, I believe that's the case. We initially said it was stolen just to get everybody out of our hair. And, yeah, that was not true.
And you and Brian discussed what you would say to the police before you gave the first statement.
I stand the questions to form.
Did you and Brian discuss that story of the car being stolen before you first spoke with the Atlanta police detective?
I don't believe so. I think we just kind of both thought that was the best answer. And I believe that's why he erased the first statements, because he separated us and asked us, and they didn't match up. So he recorded it again.
11/2013, were there television cameras
I believe there were television cameras.
that were directly listening to you and the detective's conversation?
No, they came at me before I spoke to the detective.
Were all these people that are currently in the courtroom around you when you spoke with the Atlanta Police Department detective on September 11, 2013?
The question was there anybody here?
Correct.
No.
Thank you, sir. No further questions.
Cross.
What exact location were you at when you spoke with Detective Quinn?
I was beside the car.
Is that the intersection of Macon Drive and Cleveland, if you know?
I do not know.
Is your birthday February 10th, 1990?
No.
What's your birthday?
February 2nd, 1990.
Did you tell Detective Quinn your birthday was February 10th, 1990?
Absolutely not.
You didn't lie about your birthday?
No, that I did not lie about.
And when he started recording, on the recording, Detective Quinn told you he just walked up, right?
No, I waved him down because he was walking around the car. There was a yellow tape all the way around it, maybe 30 feet away from it, 40 feet away from it. The whole parking lot of whatever establishment was there that it wrecked into had yellow tape all over it. I stood at the yellow tape, kind of yelled at him a couple of times. He turned around, didn't pay attention, yelled at him again. Said, "That's my car." He came up, and I do not recall telling him what I told him.
You didn't tell Detective Quinn that Brian told us some guy told him to borrow the car?
I do not recall that. No, that sounds a little fabricated.
Did the officer you were speaking with ever tell you to cut to the chase?
I don't believe so. I mean, he was being pretty blunt and pretty blunt with his words. He was being pretty cool. Wasn't really being too professional. Telling me that the first thing was bullshit, that we needed to get our story straight and get it right. So
you're saying that the detective realized your initial statement of the car being stolen was, as you say, bullshit?
Speculation.
I stand the objection.
Your testimony just now was that, in your impression, when the detective said what you just told us.
Yo, shout out to Steph JK for the the donation. Appreciate you. and the membership. I was just seeing sliding through. We appreciate you. Oh, welcome. FFS has now been pulled into the RICO gang by Steph JK. Appreciate y'all, family. You official now, FFS. You one of us now too. We a hybrid gang. It's cat and flesh, the hybrid gang.
Minutes ago was bullshit. What did you mean that to me when he told you that? Did you think he believed your first story? Speculation.
Hold on. I stay in the form of the question. You can rephrase it.
Sir, or when you speak with someone and they tell you that what you just told them was bullshit, how do you take that just as a person?
As a person, if I'm lying, I understand that and I take it as I'm taking bullshit. And if I'm not lying, I say that they're full of bullshit.
And if someone tells you that, or you tell someone that, does that mean that what they just told you don't believe, or you do believe?
Possibly that I don't believe them.
Real quick, Steph JK, I needed one more member to make a new emoji. So since you gave me that new member, I'll let you choose what the next emoji or one of the suggestions for a poll. We're going to start a poll like we did last time. So I'll let you get first choice of what you would like to see as a new emoji. Appreciate y'all being here, family. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, tap in. Appreciate all the love, yo. Shout out for the new members, new membership.
At the very end, when you were speaking with Detective, do you recall what you told him?
No, I think at this point I had told 3 different stories.
Did you tell Detective Quinn that this interview is the absolute truth?
Don't exactly remember that being said.
How did you feel when you got to him?
I felt like it was a jury duty thing. I didn't pay much attention to it. My involvement in this was very small. I thought it could just blow over. And no, I kept getting bothered. My mom kept getting bothered. My brothers were getting bothered. So I just kind of felt I should see what's up with it. And now I know the grand scheme of it, I feel like, or at least how more complicated it is than what I thought. So.
That's fair. Has this case? That's fair. Has this case caused any trouble in your house?
Yes.
Why?
This is something I wanted to put behind me. This is something I didn't want to ever really, I didn't think it was going to be like that. I've worked so hard to get myself straight. I'm a recovering heroin addict. I've been through a lot, and I feel like this was way in the past, and didn't really feel like bringing up this story to any one of my family members. Ever since they have found out that I am the one with the RICO charge. So it is very, it's sad, to say the least.
Were you ever offered to have anyone from DA's office come meet with you and talk about that day?
I don't exactly know who has been calling and wanting to meet, but there's been very many people, I believe, calling to want to meet for testimonies.
Why did you not let them come meet you and talk about it?
Because I thought my part in this was very irrelevant.
Did they ever ask you if they could meet on Zoom?
Don't recall that.
Did they ever ask you if they could meet on Microsoft Teams?
Don't remember that. I don't even know what those are.
Did they ever ask you to speak over the phone?
I have spoken over the phone.
Did they ever ask you to talk about what you remember from that day over the phone?
Several times.
Did you only want to speak on the day of your testimony?
I felt like it wasn't necessary. I didn't, honestly, to this day, didn't think I needed to speak ever.
Did you ever say if you got an email, did you have to read it?
I don't read emails. That's just.
Did you ever get the marijuana that you went to that house to buy?
No.
So he was sitting there for 2 hours and he never even got the marijuana. He never even got what he wanted. What he was doing there asleep? Who just go to the weed man house and go to sleep and don't even get no weed? Yo, shout out to Texas T. I'll give you second choice on the new emoji for the poll. I'm gonna start a poll. You gifted the next membership, so you got second choice on the next emoji. Appreciate it, family.
Let me ask you just a couple questions. When you were talking to the law enforcement officers or the detectives, right, on that day, Isn't it true that they told you, or they were telling you things that they thought they knew? Does that sound about right?
Don't exactly recall them knowing what was going on. They did explain to me afterwards. I asked what happened to my car, and they briefly explained what happened.
So they told you, they gave you information.
Basically, yes.
In addition to asking you questions.
Hey, welcome to the fam, 901 Diva, Don Diva.
You were subpoenaed to come here today, weren't you?
Right.
Okay. What time did you get here?
I got here at around 11.
11 o'clock. All right. You were subpoenaed, as you understand it, by the district attorney's office, right?
Right.
Okay. From the time that you got here, did anyone offer to take you upstairs and let you look at your statement, your old statement, or any recordings or anything that you had given from back in 2013?
The question was, has anybody...
Yeah. Did anyone from the DA's office say, hey, you're here, come upstairs and talk to us, and we'll tell you what we're going to ask you?
Just a second ago, I talked to these two people.
A second ago?
Yeah, just right before I walked in.
Right before they brought you in?
Yes.
Okay. Over the course of the past number of months or past couple of years, anyone ever, you live somewhere, you have a home, right?
Now I live with my girlfriend, yes.
Okay. Anytime over the course of the past few months, anyone come to your house to attempt to interview you there at your house?
Not personally my house. They have came to my mom's. They have came, they've called my brother.
Shout out to the child of Yah. I see you, family. Keep them fires up.
I don't believe they've came to my work yet, but I think that was what they said they would do.
Okay. All right. The DA asked you a question a little while ago, right, about whether at the end of your statement interview you said something to the detective or investigator, whoever it was, about whether everything you said is the absolute truth or something like that, right?
Right.
Your response, if I heard you correctly, was if you did say that, it wasn't true, right?
Right.
You told, I think in your words, at least 3 different stories about what happened that day.
Yes.
It was clear that a lot of things that you told the detective, a lot of things that the DA was asking you about, whether you said to the detective, just wasn't true, right?
Right.
Okay. You don't have any idea what happened with the car once it left your presence until you saw it again. You don't know what happened, right?
I have no idea.
You're not able to tell this jury from any personal knowledge that, hey, this person got in the car or that person got in the car or the car went here or what happened. You don't know anything about that?
No, it was just all what I was being told.
Yeah. You had the car, and then at some point later on, you saw the car was wrecked, right?
Right.
I'm talking about the internet, the ability for the defense bar to be able to access the internet and be able to grab and capture our files, to be able to do our legal research. It's my understanding, of course it hadn't been confirmed, but I believe the district attorney's office is on their own network, private network, so they're able to access, whereas we are having to depend on hotspots which are spotty, which are sometimes shaky in terms of being able to keep the connectivity. So we are asking, as the defense bar, to be able to allow IT to come in and perhaps put a hotspot here in the courtroom or something of that nature so that we can have access to the internet at all times, Judge, respectfully.
There's full co-public, and that is, I believe, on at this point in time.
We have no access.
You should be able to, because anybody in the courthouse, full co-public.
Can't get on. And we haven't been able to get on all week.
Because I'm on it right now.
Yeah.
And I'm on my device.
We can log on, Your Honor, but we can't get internet access through that Wi-Fi network.
Is there anyone on our site that is able to get on full code, Fulton County Public?
No.
All right.
I can do that. That's because that's open to the public. That is what everyone who comes into the courthouse, to include the courthouse crowd, unless we have know that the each chambers has a secure system.
Right. So it's not working for us. Full code public is not working. It hasn't worked. It has to put on the record. It has not worked all last week, and it hasn't worked any this week.
Your Honor, one of our team members was able to get on in the hallway, I believe, but here it's just not working.
I can make a phone call, but that's the best I can do in terms of checking the access. But okay. Say again. Would you sit down, please? You know, you were doing so well too, Mr. Botts. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I'll make an inquiry. We'll see what we can.
Thank you, Judge.
Yes, sir.
See.
All these people swearing and swearing before they sit down on this stand. Then they sit down and get straight to lying.
Senior Police Officer Antonius Black. First name spelling Antonius. Last name Black.
Good morning, Senior Police Officer Black. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing okay.
I can say good afternoon.
All right.
Where are you currently employed?
City of Atlanta Police Department.
And how long have you been employed there?
With the City of Atlanta Police Department since June 2003. Basically, we were sitting there, we was having a conversation. I was getting ready to pull out on a direct patrol. She heard gunshots. She actually did. I heard it, but wasn't sure at the time because I was actually engaged in talking to her. So we both kind of got quiet. Then we started hearing other type sounds. I heard a sound and I thought it was possibly like a garbage truck dumping a dumpster. I said, it sounds like a dumpster or something. Then we start hearing more sounds as it started getting closer. And then that's when I said, it sounds.
So we didn't thought it was gunshots, fireworks, dumpster trucks. What else? Fast and Furious, The Matrix.
Like it's getting closer. And then that thing, a car just dropped to my right, just out of the sky. And then as it dropped to the ground or in the parking lot next to us, it went forward right into the corn laundromat.
I'm going to publish what's been already admitted as State's Exhibit 33, Charlie. Now, with what you just described, do you see where your patrol car was that day?
Yes, sir, right here.
And do you see the car you just mentioned that crashed right next to y'all's patrol car?
The red car that's directly in front of us, up against the corn laundry wall.
Now, did the car land on your side, the passenger, or on the driver's side?
It landed on the passenger side.
And what was your initial reaction to seeing this?
Basically, I was very startled, I'll say that. Very startled.
Now,
once it hit, there's like about 4, maybe 5 black males exited that vehicle. I know there was one that was closer to me because basically it's just like a quick reaction. I just jumped out the vehicle. My trainee jumped out the vehicle. The closest guy I grabbed by the collar of his shirt, placed him, told him to get down to the ground. And when I looked back, my trainee was about to pass the vehicle. Then I saw another male. Basically, he already had gotten out the back seat on the passenger side of that red vehicle. And it almost like he was about to try to slip behind her. She didn't see him. And I told her to get the one on the ground, get him.
Now, I want to break this down a little bit. Where did the other males that you described you saw get out of the car go, other than the ones you and Officer Davis?
There were 2 others that, facing this picture, they went towards the right. There's a retainer wall over here. They jumped the retainer wall and the fence over on the right side.
Can you use that pointer to help describe what you just stated? Thank you, sir. Now, Officer Black, if you were to scale that fence and go to your immediate right, what building would you run into?
Basically, it's like backyards. From here?
Correct.
Yeah, this fence. Well, the car right here went through whatever fence that was right here. But there's some more fences over here. You would have jumped in the backyard. So it's like, I want to say 3 houses.
What's on the other side of those houses?
Department phase, the other phase of Summerdale Commons.
Is that the phase of Summerdale Commons that uses numbers or letters for the building?
The letters.
Could you get there on foot if you scaled that fence?
Yes, you can. I think it may be 2 fences you probably have to jump before you actually get to 2, maybe 3. The third one's probably separating the residents, the houses, from the apartment complex.
How that area looked back on September 11, 2013 in general?
I mean, it's a map of it. A lot changed, but yeah.
In terms of...
I do have an objection, Judge. May I put some questions to the witness in regards to this
What's your objection, sir?
foundation?
Hold. All right. You can ask him on cross, okay? All right.
All right. Can I state on the record, or can I step up and put my complete objection on the record in regards to why there's a lack of foundation?
He's laid a foundation.
All right, hold on. Before the judge start yelling at Adams about his false foundation. Appreciate y'all being here. Yo, Aries 1, I just got your Cash App. I appreciate that, family. Every piece is much appreciated. And it's much needed around here, so it all helps. We appreciate it around here, so keep it going. And shout out to FFS. Swear to tell the truth, so help you God. Yep, fingers crossed. Car fell from the sky. What the fuck? Get the fuck out of here. Cocaine's a hell of a drug. Real talk. Real talk, family. Real talk. Cocaine cowboys around this mug, huh? Appreciate the super chat, family. And appreciate the Cash App at Aries 1. We getting it in. Much love to you all, fam. Let's go.
I concur. So I'm gonna overrule your objection at this point in time.
Understood.
Do you have another objection you'd like to pose?
No, the base of the objection is foundation.
Okay.
I do not believe he's laid a proper foundation for this photograph.
All right, I'm overruling that objection. Okay, sir.
As for continuing objection.
Okay. All right.
About how tall was he?
About my height, 6'3", 6'4".
And about how much did he weigh?
Well, I'm at 330, so somewhere close to that. I mean, I'm assuming. So he's close to 300.
So was he? So he was about your height and weight.
Yes.
Would you say you're small or tall?
Compared to others?
Compared to others.
Tall.
All right.
Tall.
All right. Now
he was I ain't gonna say laid out. He was actually sitting up. He didn't want her to leave his side. He was basically holding on to her, the pants leg around the ankles, asking her not to leave.
Was he also injured?
Yes, he was shot.
Now, did you have them on when the car dropped out of the sky and landed next to you?
Yes.
Did you have them on when you saw the 4 to 5 black males run from that car after it hit the wall?
Yes.
How far were you from the red car when you saw the 4 or 5 black males run?
Basically, probably just, I can't say if I was still in the car, my patrol car, or I was jumping out. That part I can't remember exactly.
And I'm gonna publish State's Exhibit 31, Charlie, and ask you one last question, Officer Wagner. How far were you from this retaining wall in State's Exhibit 31, Charlie, when you saw the 2 black males scale that fence?
I was still with the guy that I had put down on the ground. I did not try to leave him. So once I had him in my custody, that's where I stayed. And I just remember just looking up at him, but other than that, I just kept my attention on this guy.
And did you have on your glasses when you saw them scale the fence?
Yes.
Thank you, Officer Black.
Cross.
Your recollection of things that happened back in 2013, true?
Yes.
All right. I think, and you tell me if I'm right or not, that we also talked about the description of the individuals that you saw on that day, remember?
Mm-hmm.
And specifically, we talked about the gentleman that you grabbed a hold of, the guy who had the injury to the back.
Yes.
And just to be clear, he had a gunshot to the back, right?
Yes.
Okay. And the other guy who was on the ground next to the car that was I guess apprehended by Officer Davis was also suffering from a gunshot wound. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. As a matter of fact, those pictures that we saw up a little while ago with all the blood stains, that's where I think you used the word bleeding out. That's where your guy was bleeding out on kind of the left side, the back of the car, right?
My guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was bleeding in the back.
Right, but in terms
her guy was the one that was doing all the bleeding. So
he was the one on the ground.
Yes.
The guy that you actually, let me back up a little bit, okay? Let me kind of start from the beginning. You and Davis are sitting in the car, right?
Yes.
This car comes kind of flying out of nowhere, lands on the ground, and ends up smack against the laundromat. True?
Yes.
Okay. You see individuals get out of the car
Yes.
and run, right? Your description or your recollection is that it's 4, maybe 5 individuals, right?
Yes.
Okay. The person who Officer Davis ended up apprehending or interacting with, that person got out of the rear passenger seat of the car. Is that right?
That's where I seen him at, yes.
Okay, that's where you saw him at. Fair to say that person didn't get very far.
No.
All right. The gunshot that he had was it to the leg, the groin area, something like that?
Yeah, it was to the groin area now. Which side, I can't say.
Okay. But he wasn't very mobile. True?
No.
Okay. All right. So we know that guy who was in the car is out and he's laying on the ground. He had on a red shirt, did he not?
I don't remember.
Okay. All right. The guy who got out of the car that you grabbed a hold of, where was he in the car? Do you recall?
No, I don't recall if he was in the front, back, not sure.
Okay. But he was a big guy.
Yes.
He was easily over 6 feet tall.
Yes.
Now, I heard 300 pounds thrown around a little while ago. He was in the area of about 300 pounds.
Close. You can be 280, 305, 310, somewhere.
He was a big guy.
Yeah.
You're a big guy.
Yeah.
I think you told me the other day, you're a little bigger now than you were back then. Back then you were kind of slimmer, trimmer, that sort of thing. My words. You were smaller.
Well, I'd say more toned.
Toned.
Yeah.
All right. You've gotten thick fine over there. Okay. Anyway, but he was a big dude.
Yeah.
Wait, did Adam say thick fine? All right, I'm not tripping. I didn't hear that part. Is that what he said? Hold on.
He had a gunshot to the back. All right. Slimmer, trimmer, that sort of thing. My words. You were smaller.
Well, I'd say more toned.
Toned.
Yeah.
All right. You've gotten thick fine over there. Okay. Anyway, but he was a big dude.
Yeah.
And he had a gunshot to the back.
Mm-hmm.
And he was bleeding as well.
Mm-hmm. I think it was close to like the shoulder blade areas.
Okay. One of the things I think you testified to, and maybe you told me also, is that you were holding him, and it was after a while that you realized you had blood all over your arm that was coming from him. From
when I grabbed him to the back of his collar.
He had on a blue shirt.
It was like a light blue.
Okay. So we've got the guy on the ground with Davis who has on a shirt. You don't remember the color, right? But you know that the big guy who got out of wherever in the car he got out, he had on a blue shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, there were other individuals, you said 4, maybe 5 altogether, right? But at least 2 others you saw go towards the right of where the car landed, right?
Yes.
All right. Would I be correct in saying that you don't really you can't recall a good description of those individuals?
No.
If I were to ask you what they were wearing, you couldn't recall?
No, sir.
If I were to ask you what they looked like, hairstyle, that sort of thing, you couldn't really recall?
No.
Okay. All right. Were you aware of someone else with a blue shirt being apprehended somewhere around the corner?
No.
Okay. The vehicle that was crashed against the laundromat, it was kind of a small car, right? What was it, an Altima?
I don't remember the make and model.
It wasn't a big car.
No, it wasn't no big large sedan though, but
okay.
4 doors.
Okay. It's fair to say that your role in this kind of started with that car coming over and dropping there on the ground, and ended with you and Davis kind of interacting with and apprehending these 2 individuals.
Yes.
You didn't conduct any additional investigation.
No.
Right. Oh, the laundromat. You're familiar with that laundromat, and you were familiar with it back then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you aware of whether there are cameras in that laundromat, or in or around that laundromat?
No, I don't recall.
Okay. Not saying that they're not. You don't recall.
No.
Okay. And granted, this was a little over 10 years ago. Fair?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Would I be correct in saying that you're not sure about whether or not there were cameras on the side of the laundromat closer to that, what you describe as a retaining wall?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Did you have any interaction with the other detectives or investigators who showed?
And so I just thought about this part too. So the officer that was with him, the little lady from the last show, right? She was about to go hop the barbed wire fence. Is that what she was saying? She was about to go jump the barbed wire. The other cop, the rookie, and then he called her back, and he was like, "Nah, come get Walter Murphy on the ground." And Love said she was with Prothro, so she was wrong. He said he got Frederick Prothro
up on the scene.
I mean, they all showed up on scene. We was all right there in the parking lot.
Okay.
And I was just trying to find out what was going on.
Okay. Did you have any conversations with any detectives or any other officers about getting video from the owner of the laundromat?
No.
Did you have any conversations with that?
No, I don't call any. No.
Did you talk to, or do you know Officer Detective Quinn?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see him on that day?
I don't remember.
Okay. What about Velasquez? You know Velasquez?
Steph JK says, do they have big and short stores or just big and tall? Asking for a friend. Hey, that's a good question, because not everybody that's big got to be tall. It's kind of confusing.
Yes.
Okay. Did you have conversation with him on that day?
I don't remember.
Okay. There is a crime scene. Well, was there a crime scene unit that showed up on the scene?
Yes.
Okay. You would not have had any interaction with the crime scene unit, correct?
No, I really don't have no recall of that either. All I remember is just dealing with what we was dealing with right there. But as for investigation purpose-wise,
wasn't you?
No.
Okay. All right. You don't know what happened before that car came sailing out of the sky, right? What was going on with the car?
No.
Okay. The photo that you were shown earlier, and if I can have photo one, I think that's 150C. Put back up for me, please. All right.
The car came sailing out the sky.
On the screen next to your left?
Yes.
All right. This is an overhead, kind of like a satellite depiction of the entire area. Is that right?
Yes.
This is, you would agree with me, this is a depiction from the common day, from today, from the 2024, right?
With the green trees?
Yeah. Well, okay, maybe.
Some will be wintertime now.
All right, let me put it this way, right? It is wintertime, and trees aren't green. Yes. This is not what the area looked like back in 2013. Is it fair to say?
I mean, a little difference. I know it used to be a McDonald's, but I can't remember if the McDonald's was there then either.
Okay. Fair to say that looking at this picture, you know it, and you know the area because you've patrolled that area. You've been there since 2004.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can look at this photograph and you can say, well, that's the Summerdale Commons apartment complex, and you can see where the Skyline Laundromat is. But the truth is, as we're looking at it, you can't see the fences that you're talking about that you'd have to navigate to get from one location to the next. True?
Yes, that's true.
Okay. And although we see Cleveland Avenue, we see you see where the red pin, whatever they call it, is? All right. That's essentially indicating where the entrance to that part of Summerdale Commons apartment is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. But it's fair to say that you can't see Like you see where the laundromat is, but you don't see the houses that are obscured by the trees right in front of the laundromat, right?
I can see two.
Okay.
Real quick, let me tell y'all. So what they looking at is this Google map, and then the judge denied Adams' objection. He was saying that this is not it's not a official map. Like he don't have no foundation, cause it's a new map. And then now he about to sit here and explain why it's not a map that he's seen before. He's never seen this before. They just pulled it up for this evidence. There's no reason for it to be here. But he got overruled by Judge. Yeah, I'm gonna let y'all fill in his blank.
You talking about the ones with the red tops?
There's a space, but I'm not sure. But there's a space. Want me to show it up here?
All right, can I approach with the judge?
You may, sir.
All right, I'm gonna play teacher for a second. I'll use this. Turn around for me if you get a chance, okay? All right, so that's our laundromat, right?
No.
No?
Nope.
Where's the laundromat?
Where the blue?
Right here?
There it is.
Okay, so that's a laundromat.
Yeah.
And this is...
The tree is covering that parking lot area where we was at. Yeah.
Right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, aren't there some houses like right here?
Yeah, I think that's a house right there in that little space.
Okay, but you can't really see that, right?
No.
Okay, but there's some house. There's a house here. There's a fence here.
Yep.
And then there's a wall that comes down. That's where you guys were sitting in the car, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Do you recall helicopter units that came out on that day?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah, because that's when all the noise and stuff started.
Okay.
Like everything was quiet and like everything just broke out.
Next thing you know, you got a car dropping out of the sky.
No, I'm talking about it after that.
Then you got helicopters flying up above.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, though, you weren't involved with that portion of it in terms of looking for anyone or anything like that, right?
Who?
You know who Officer Bridget Porter is?
Yeah, she's an investigator.
Investigator. Do you recall seeing her on that day?
Yeah.
The gatekeeper.
Okay. And you were subpoenaed to come here to testify. You were outside in the hallway, right?
Say again?
You were subpoenaed to come and testify, and before you came in, you were outside in the hallway.
Yes.
Okay. You see Bridget Porter out there?
No.
All right. Thank you. That's all I have.
Any further cross? Mr. Sharp?
Good afternoon, sir.
Hey, how you doing?
Wonderful. How are you?
Okay.
Does Investigator Porter still work for APD?
Yes.
So she's local?
That part, I don't know what department that she's in, but she's an investigator with us, yes.
For Atlanta Police Department?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Julie, we see you. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you stopping by. Appreciate you coming back to watch the replay. Let's keep it going, family. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, tap in, and share with your friends.
Anyone else? Any redirect, sir?
Briefly, Your Honor. Officer Black, with statements in the 150 Charlie we were just discussing with Mr. Adams, how do you know that you can get from coin laundry to that second portion of the Somerville apartment complex on foot?
How do I know?
Yeah.
I've seen the fence. Yeah, it's the fence that's basically separating those houses, backyards, that leads right on over to the second phase over there of apartments. And there's a fence that's separating the apartment building and that last house just north of the complex.
Is the fences you had just discussed any higher or longer than the fence you would have had to initially scale, get over right where your car crashed?
The gatekeeper.
Well, the fence that's at the laundromat, the coin laundry place, is high with wires on it. Those are just regular chain link fence to the backyards of people's property. So No, they're basically shorter.
Thank you, Officer Black. No further questions, Your Honor.
When you saw the other individuals who got out of the car and went to the right, you don't know where they went to be.
All I know, they went fence. That's it.
That's all. Thank you.
All right, sir.
I do.
Spell your first and last name for the court. Now we're doing
Vincent Velasquez, VELAZQUEZ.
Oh, here go Velasquez, the dirty red dog who erases interviews. Shout out to Steph JK with another donation, super chat. I appreciate it. Just for being immature as fuck in your chat. My bad. I don't know what you do. I didn't see what you did. I must have missed it. But I appreciate it anyway, so thank you. I didn't see you do nothing offensive though. We all right. We rolling. Speak your truth.
Good afternoon, man. Right now, I am the owner of a security consulting business, Velasquez Consultants.
And what do you do as the owner of Velasquez Consultants?
So I do a variety of things under the umbrella of the business. I do expert witness work for civil cases, wrongful death, sexual assault, police procedures cases. I do security evaluations. Also, under the umbrella, I hold the title of Director of Security for the Atlanta Hawks, Director of Team Security. And I've had that position for the last 8 years.
What professional background do you have that qualifies you to do what you do with the Hawks and as the owner of a security firm?
So I was a police officer for 22 years with Atlanta PD, starting in 1995 until my retirement in 2017.
And as a police officer with the Atlanta Police Department, what areas of the department did you work with them?
I started my career as a patrol officer working downtown and midtown Atlanta. I did that for about a year, and then
this is a place you can speak your mind. You know, just don't be offensive. Don't be, too offensive where YouTube gonna be on your head. But you can speak your mind. Y'all can crack your little jokes. It's all right as long as it's all in friendly fun. Let's get it, family.
There, I went to a tactical drug unit.
It's so serious and so much seriousness that we're dealing with. We need a place where we can have a little fun and laugh with it. Not laugh at them, but laugh with them and hope for something better. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to build too much negative energy. We want to bring some good light into the situation, Law of attraction, law of magnetism. You got to think good and feel good to bring good. You can't just be focused on all the bad.
Called Red Dog in 1997, and I stayed in that unit for 2.5 years until the year of 2000. I did a brief stint as a background investigator for police applicants for about 6 months, and I was promoted to detective in November of 2000. Went to homicide and have stayed in homicide for my entire career, 17 years, or the rest of my career.
What up, TSC? I see you.
Does any of the work that you do now have anything to do with the cases that you work at the City of Atlanta Police Department? Do you have to?
Yes.
Okay, what?
So I also have a TV show that highlighted myself, and Detective David Quinn was my partner for 17 years. So the TV show, under the auspice of my business, was for 4 seasons, highlighting the cases we worked, the solved cases that we had, each episode.
Hold on, y'all see what he talking about, right? He talking about the homicide detectives, the show. I got some more of that coming on the next show, but yeah, they want to be superstars.
It's about a case, the victim, how we solved it, highlighting, and was my partner for 17 years. So the TV show, under the auspice of my business, was for 4 seasons, highlighting the cases we worked, the solved cases that we had. Each episode is about a case, the victim, how we solved it,
We've done that for the last 4 years.
And to show those episodes, do you revisit or review any of the files that you worked during that time?
We do.
Laying a foundation for other questions.
I'll give you a little bit of latitude. Overruled objection.
Thank you. You may answer that question.
Yes, we do.
During your time with the Atlanta Police Department, were you certified as a law enforcement officer by the state of Georgia?
I was.
That you worked at the City of Atlanta Police Department. Do you have?
Yes.
Okay. What?
So I also have a TV show that highlighted myself, and Detective David Quinn was my partner for 17 years. So the TV show, under the auspice of my business, was for 4 seasons, highlighting the cases we worked, the solved cases that we had. Each episode is about a case, the victim, how we solved it. I was in Red Dog. We were in Zone 3 heavily, and then throughout my career in homicide cases where I either was the lead detective.
When he was in what? When he was in Red Dog? For those who don't know about Red Dog, y'all got to go back and watch the history of Red Dog video. I'm going to put a link up here for those who watching on the replay. But yeah, definitely watch that and see why it's such a big deal that all these people are Red Dog, Apex, Scorpion Unit, Titan Unit. They all gangs. And shout out to FFS. Let me see. Kind of hard to see. Let me see. Just for saying the stuff I said so far and anything I might say soon. At Steph JK, thanks for being here. I won't direct any negative comments towards anyone Pacific. LOL, but spoiler, the comments will come. That's what I'm talking about. It's all right. We're free here, family. You know, I ain't going to keep y'all in jail. Just don't get me banned, you know what I'm saying? Because they already be knocking some of my views, but I ain't gonna get into that because then they gonna knock them some more. So anyway, much love. Appreciate y'all being here. Let's go, family. Shout out to FFS for the super chat. It's much appreciated, fam.
Assisting detective, or even witnesses to other homicides, residents that lived in Zone 3. So I spent a lot of time in Zone 3.
And you're able to give a number to how many cases you worked involving residents of Zone 3?
Hundreds. Over 300. Well, combined from when I was in Red Dog, we were in Zone 3 heavily, and then throughout my career in homicide. Sure. So starting out with this is actually the crime scene sketch. Starting out with the building numbers, obviously building 300, building 100, apartment 306, and then starting with number 1, and you can see the line goes to the arrow into building 300, is a hole in the wall of building 300. I'm sorry, a hole in the window.
I'm sorry, we're having a little bit of a... There we go. Please continue.
1 represents a hole in the window of building 300, apartment 306. Number 2 represents a hole in the wall. 1 is the window, 2 is the hole in the wall, apartment 306. Evidence marker number 3 on this sketch in this grassy area indicates .40 caliber shell casing. Number 4, evidence marker on a sketch, .40 caliber shell casing.
And so this is the scene. This is what I'm going to use to make a 3D version so we can reenact it. I'm going to build all this into a 3D model so that we can have reenact all the lies. Appreciate y'all being here. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, tap in, share with a friend.
Number 5, .40 caliber shell casing. Number 6 represents foam from the detective's vehicle. Number 7 represents foam from the detective's vehicle. Number 8 represents foam from the detective's vehicle. Number 9, right here, represents foam from the detective's vehicle. And number 10, which is right here, represents the 9mm shell casing. And just to go back here to give you an idea, this is Old Hateville Road, and this is the front entrance to Somerville Commons Apartments.
Thank you. You may take your seat.
Thank you.
Why do you draw a crime scene diagram if you already have photographs of the evidence that is collected at your direction?
Part of the reason we create a sketch and diagram and do measurements is to get an overall view of the evidence as it sits at a scene. The second part of that reason is there are times where we may need to recreate a crime scene. We may need to go back out to a location and actually place evidence back where it was located. That's why we measure. We use reference points so we could clearly actually go out to this scene right today, if it would still remain in the same situation it was in 2013, and place a casing, place a piece of foam if we needed to physically see this again. I've only had to do that a few times in my career, but that's one reason. The more general reason is to demonstrate, as I just did now, the overall view of a crime scene from a topical view.
Basically a brainchild of David and I throughout the years working, first 48 working cases. Wow. We hooked up with some dope.
Having a glass of wine.
Yeah, drinking a Corona, and from there, that sparked some interest, and then they started shopping this thing around. And I mean, TV1 came in and was like, look, you guys are exactly what we're looking for.
Wow, how long? This is other media outlets. Wow. TV1 saw the 2-minute sizzle reel, and they were all over it. Because what was interesting, they said, we want you to be you on the screen like you are in the street. Yeah. And that's what's up. And they let us, help out with the producing. It was lovely.
Yeah, and that's the thing with us. When we looked at what you had.
Oh,
darn. On the street, this is how we
The car that were collected.
So trying to get these TV roles and TV parts, is that why Quinn start involving Young Thug in all these situations and acting like he was part of it? He was trying to blow up some stuff for a TV series? Was it for the Homicide show? Is that why he was trying to get a celebrity on there?
154C is a piece of the vehicle from the detective's vehicle. 151C, also a piece of the detective's vehicle. 155C, also a piece of the detective's vehicle. And 153C, also a piece of the detective's vehicle.
And 152, Charlie, are these the shell casings that were collected from the scene?
May I look inside? Yes, they are.
Thank you. Thank you. That's all that I have now.
Thank you.
Cross.
If I heard you correctly, you worked with APD, Atlanta Police Department, for, is it 22 years or was it more than that?
22.
Okay. You left the Atlanta Police Department in what year?
2017.
Did you work in the Fulton County DA's office for some period of time?
I did. I was assigned to the DA's office, yes.
You were assigned to the DA's office from?
2004 until, I believe, 2009. I was multi-agency cold case squad.
Okay. So what that means, well, tell me, if what that means is that you're an APD officer, but you're assigned to work with the Fulton County DA's office for a specific purpose.
That was correct, yes.
Cold case squad, is that what that was?
Yes.
Is it? It is not one. It is not one. All right. Thank you, ma'am. Let me jump into that a little bit. You are familiar with with Zone 3, correct?
Yes, sir.
You're familiar with Zone 3 and specifically the Cleveland Avenue corridor based on your years as a police officer.
I am.
Based on the work that you've done in that area.
Yes.
You were asked last week, and I believe you testified, that over the period of time that you worked in that area, you spoke to numerous people in the Zone 3. And I'm going to kind of confine it to Cleveland Avenue corridor, in that corridor. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. People who lived there who were residents, right?
Correct.
People who were witnesses for different offenses or different crimes or different things you were investigating, right?
Yes.
You've arrested numerous people in that area, correct?
I have.
You worked with Did I hear you say that you worked with the Red Dog Squad at some point?
I did.
Okay. How long were you a Red Dog officer?
2.5 years.
Okay. During that period of time, now, is Red Dog primarily focused on drug-related offenses?
Drugs and, well, all levels of street crime, drugs, weapons, things of that nature.
During the period of time that you worked as a Red Dog officer, you had occasion to arrest a number of people in the Cleveland Avenue corridor.
That's an accurate representation.
Inaccurate?
That is accurate.
Okay.
Yes.
You would serve search warrants.
We did.
You would serve arrest warrants, arrest people, right?
We did.
You became familiar with what the general trends and the crimes and so forth were in that area. Is that fair to say?
During that time, yes.
Yes. And in fact, during your entire period of time as an Atlanta Police Department officer, you would say that that area is a high crime area.
In Zone 3, in particular, the Cleveland Avenue area of Zone 3.
But let's say Zone 3 first.
I would say it is one of the 6 zones that have an increased level of crime, yes.
Okay. And specifically the Cleveland Avenue corridor, very high crime area.
It would be difficult for me to characterize the Cleveland Avenue area as having more crime than another particular area. I think that would require me to do some analysis.
Okay.
So I wasn't prepared for that, so I don't know if I could testify to that.
Well, let me just ask you about your experience.
Certainly.
Would it be fair to say that you have investigated numerous murders in the Cleveland Avenue corridor?
Objection as to vague, numerous?
I sustain the objection.
All right. You have investigated murders in the Cleveland Avenue area?
Yes.
More than one?
I have.
More than 10?
I don't know. And to be quite honest with you, from being in homicide for 17 years, it's difficult for me to think about, I probably could come up with that analysis, but as I sit here today, it would take some time for me to really go back and think about that.
Okay.
I have personally handled homicides in Zone 1 through 6, so I can't tell you if that Cleveland Avenue area or Zone 3 was significantly more than Zone 1 or Zone 4.
All right. When you were asked last week to talk about that area and what you knew about the area, I think I heard you describe it as it's an area where people are trying to get by, right?
I did say that.
It is a poor area. Was that fair to say?
I think it's economically depressed, yes.
I mean, it was part of the Atlanta Empowerment Zone, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Okay. It is an area that has about, 30% employment. Isn't that about right?
I don't know. I don't know the employment statistics of Zone 3.
Okay. There are a lot of drug crimes that go on in that area.
Objection as to vague.
There are drug crimes that go on in that area, correct?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Judge.
That's all right.
True?
I have personally, while working Red Dog, arrested a good amount of people in Zone 3 for drug possession, yes. In the 90s, specifically.
Right. There are, in the 90s, would that
When Red Dog, they was attacking Zone 3.
be the main period of time that you worked on the street, for lack of a better phrase?
Yes,
Zone 3?
Specifically from 1997, mid-1997 to November of 2000.
Okay. Would it be fair to say that if you are a child or a juvenile growing up in that area, you're growing up in a pretty rough area?
Objection, speculation, and vague.
Oh, I'll sustain the objection.
Okay. Based on the time that you spent in that area, did you have occasion to interact with the people who lived in that area, including young folks?
I did.
Okay. Would you say, based on your interaction and your observations, that growing up as a young person in that area appeared to be a difficult endeavor?
Objection, that is ambiguous, vague.
Oh, with the objection.
I don't have an answer for that. I think that would require me to put forth a robust analysis. I'm not prepared to testify to that right now.
All right.
You notice this dude talk real proper and he sound intelligent, but his answers sound just as dumb as everybody else. Just cause you book smart don't mean you smart. He sounds stupid too. My bad, y'all. This irritated me a little bit.
Based on your observation, and I think the number that I wrote down and that you said was that, let me get it right, that you probably had occasion to visit more than 150 homes in the Cleveland Avenue area during your time as a police officer. Is that about right?
I think I may have testified in Zone 3, not specifically Cleveland Avenue, yes.
Okay. Would it be fair to say that from your observation, your experience, that people who live in that area are working hard, trying to get out of poverty, trying to get out of that area? Is that fair to say?
Objection, compound, question.
Stay in the question.
You had occasion to, have you had occasion during a period of time that you interacted with the folks in Zone 3 to come across young folks who were trying to find any way to make it in that area?
I think my experience has been, overall, if we're specifically talking about young folks, I think I've experienced more young folks who are making it in a relative sense of living in a neighborhood, going to school, doing what they were supposed to do. My recollection of knocking on doors and talking to people, witnesses, and families.
Facts, FFS. You seen his sleeve? Yeah, he tatted up under there. Brooklyn say, what is he testifying to? He is the homicide detective, one of the ones with David Quinn that pulled up during the shooting of the incident that we just covered and the call that I posted last night, the 911 call. So tap into those and you'll get a little bit more information. But yeah, he's the main homicide detective. And actually, he was on the 911 calls. If y'all listen to his voice, go back, listen to a call. You can hear his voice, and you can hear David Quinn's voice and AC Booker Higgins with they lying asses. Red Dog gangsters.
Many of the children that I either spoke to or observed were like any other kids that I've experienced in my life, personally and professionally.
Wanting to do better, right?
I think generally speaking, everyone wants to do better. I don't know that that's specific to Zone 3.
Right, but coming up in an area that you've described, that we've been talking about, where there's a significant amount of crime, right?
Objection, Your Honor, with a significant amount.
Stay in the objections.
Where there's crime, all right, it's a tough area, right?
Peace, fam. Let me send a quick shout out to T. Well, yeah, there you go, FFS. There go a little bit of that sleeve showing. Shout out to T. Appreciate you joining us, family. Let's get it in.
Is that fair to say?
Overall, Zone 3, I think, I don't know if I can say Zone 3 itself is a tough area. I think there are pockets in Zone 3 that are a little more challenging than others.
Okay. It'll be challenging to come up there as a youngster. Would you agree with that?
I think my analysis is more so based on crime. There are some pockets of crime in Zone 3 that are a little more prevalent than other areas of Zone 3.
And if you live in that area, you are, well, for lack of a better word, in the middle of those pockets of crime. Is that fair to say?
Objection, Your Honor, that's a debate.
Stay in the question.
Let me send a quick shout out to T and Big G. She say Unc and I are both live. Okay, shout out to Big G and T. Appreciate y'all being here.
All right. So let me ask you a little bit about your role as an investigator, and specifically this investigation. In this case, Detective Quinn was the lead investigator in regards to this incident.
That's correct.
And when I say this incident, we're talking about this incident that occurred on September the 11th of 2013. Fair?
Fair.
Okay. This was an incident, as you know it to be, based on your involvement, of a shooting that occurred in the Summerdale Commons apartment complex, right?
Yes.
Followed by the discharge or the shooting of a weapon by a police officer, Robeson L., right?
Correct.
The shooting of two individuals identified in a car, a maroon car, right?
Correct.
And a car.
You seen him catch it when he drank that water? Like, oh shit, my sleeve's showing, and tried to put his hands under. Shout out to FFS for the catch. Yep, I know it.
Car crashing in the shooting of 2 individuals identified in a car, a maroon car, right?
Correct.
And a car crashing into a laundromat, and individuals getting out of that car, right?
Correct.
All right. Now, 22 years on the force, Red Dog, working with the DA's office, you understand, and certainly you did then, the need for a thorough investigation, right?
Yes.
You want to do a thorough investigation anytime you're involved in one because there are important things at stake. For example, whether a person who has committed a crime is apprehended or not. True?
Yeah, I'm going to object to that as a compound question.
I'll sustain this form. You can break it up.
Sure, I'll break it down.
Steph JK say she cover hers when it's important, not because I give a fuck about what others think, but to be respectful. Facts. But I got a question. Y'all think he got some gang-related tattoos? You think he got some Red Dog or some Scorpion or some Titan unit tattoos? Some Apex unit tattoos? Remember, Gaither, not Gaither, she probably is too, but Dennis, he Apex too.
You want to do a thorough investigation because if someone has committed a crime, you want to try as best you can to apprehend the person who has committed that crime. Is that true?
I would agree.
Okay. You would want to identify someone who has committed a crime versus someone who has not committed a crime. Is that fair to say?
Objection kind of vague. Because they may have to identify witnesses.
All right. Break down even more. All right? For everyone. In this case, you knew as part of your investigation that there were allegedly multiple individuals who came out of a vehicle. Is that fair to say?
I did learn that later, yes.
All right, as part of your investigation, right?
Correct.
Okay. In investigating a case, one of the things you might want to do would be to take statements from witnesses. Is that true?
I would agree.
Right. And as a police officer, you take a statement from a witness to get as accurate an account of what that witness saw as possible. True?
I would agree.
All right. You would want to hear from that particular witness in their own words what they knew or what they experienced. True?
That's what taking a statement entails, yes.
Right. And if you are a police officer or an investigator taking a statement from a witness, you don't tell them what happened. You listen to them tell you what happened. Is that true? How is that? I'm sorry.
And compound.
I'll stand as the compound.
Okay. If you as a police officer or investigator are interviewing a witness, you would not want to tell that witness what they saw, would you?
No.
You would want to have that witness tell you what they saw, correct?
Correct.
And you're stuck, whatever they tell you, it is what it is, right?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay, well, if a witness tells you something and you are recording that statement.
Your Honor, I'm going to object as to speculation. If the witness tells something and the report...
I'll stand as speculation.
Okay. When witnesses give statements, sometimes you record those statements, right?
Sometimes.
All right. And you talked in your direct examination when the prosecutor asked you some questions about policy and procedure. You talked about the need to observe proper police policy, right?
Right.
It is not proper police policy to erase the statement of a witness and then tell them, now let's start over, right?
An official statement, and I think in context, erase in what context?
If a witness gives you a statement and you record that statement.
Your Honor, objection as to speculation.
I stand the objection.
Is it police policy to record a statement from a witness and then erase the statement?
There is no policy that exists that specifically addresses that.
Okay. Is that proper protocol?
It could be.
Okay.
People, and I think in context, typically interviewing witnesses and sometimes even suspects, more often than not, they lie. Many times witnesses have told lies.
Okay.
And we, doing this job long enough, understand when we start to see that developing.
Right, but
I wasn't done. I wasn't finished, sir.
Go ahead. Finish for me.
So, in that context, when one is taking a statement, if you choose to record that and it is, in your opinion, complete fabrication, it doesn't line up with the facts, we could stop the tape and re-record it.
Okay.
Once we start presenting facts or challenging that witness or suspect, and then they, I hate to use this word, but a come to Jesus meeting, where we're like, okay, this is a lie, you know, you lied, let's get down to the nitty gritty now.
Is it your role to make a determination as to when someone's lying or not?
Objection, Your Honor, as to vagueness.
Oh.
In what context?
I stand objection.
In the course of a police investigation, right, if a witness gives you a statement, right, is it your role to determine what statement is true and what statement is not true?
Your Honor, this is speculation.
I stand the question.
Your Honor, this is speculation. That was not speculation. Yo, shout out to T and Big G. I just got the Cash App. I appreciate you, family. Much love to everybody for being here. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, tap in. Let's go. Appreciate it, fam. Appreciate the love. Y'all, everybody type a T in the chat. Show some love.
When you record statements, is one of the reasons that you're recording the statements for purposes of perhaps passing that information on to, let's say, a prosecutor's office later on?
Yes.
When you record a statement as an investigator, is part of the reason that you're recording the statement so that you can later on go back and look at or listen to what a witness said?
That's part of it, yes.
When you record a statement, is one of the reasons that you record a statement so that you can compare that witness's statement against other witnesses' statements?
That would be corroboration, yes.
Right. And so if a witness gives you a statement and you erase it, you no longer have that statement that was given previously. Is that right?
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to finish my question.
Yeah, I followed your question, so I apologize. I object as to speculation.
I stand the question.
And my bad, can y'all also type a FFS in there and show some love to FFS and to Steph JK? Appreciate them. They sponsoring the stream right now. So if y'all could show some love to JK, to FFS, and to T, appreciate it, family.
In this case, are you aware of any statements that were taken and then subsequently erased?
No.
And I owe Sha Diggy one from last stream, so type some blue hearts in there too.
You testified earlier about, and you were showing photographs of the debris from the vehicle in the Summerdale Commons Apartments. Remember that?
I do.
Okay. Did you also go to the location of the laundromat where the car had collided with the wall of the laundromat? Did you go there?
I did.
All right. Did you have occasion to either search for or to retrieve any video surveillance from that laundromat?
No, I just merely drove there. I don't even think I got out of the car.
Okay. You didn't speak to anyone at that location?
Not at all.
Okay. Are you aware of whether any video surveillance was recovered from that laundromat?
I'm not aware. Okay. Whether it was or was not, I don't know.
Who would have been, if you know, who would have been responsible for retrieving any video surveillance from the laundromat if there was any?
Objection, Your Honor.
He's the investigator, Judge.
I stand the objection, no.
Do you know if a crime scene person or anyone else involved in the investigation sought or received video surveillance from the laundromat?
Your Honor, I'm going to ask and answer.
I'll allow that one.
I do not know.
Did you seek or obtain any video surveillance from the apartment complex?
There was none.
Okay. And whom did you check with in regards to that?
The manager. And also my observation of the buildings not having cameras.
Okay, so there are no surveillance cameras at any of the buildings at that location?
That was my interpretation from what she said in my observations, yes.
You testified earlier about radio traffic and communicating with, was it Investigator Quinn that you communicated with over the radio while you were at the crime scene?
I don't believe that's what I testified to, but I could have.
Okay.
It wouldn't be uncommon for me, he and I, to communicate over the radio.
Okay. Did you testify previously that there was someone that you were talking to on the radio where you had to switch channel to talk to someone?
I think my testimony was not specifically me communicating with someone. It was generally speaking of what happens in a chaotic scene like that where the dispatcher requests all the units on the scene to switch to what's called a TAC channel.
Okay.
Yeah, send a shout out to Tall Glass for holding it down with the mod. She holding it down. Appreciate it. And also send a shout out to Aries One. Let's go.
Were you monitoring the radio traffic during the investigation? And obviously you arrived after the fact. So were you monitoring the radio traffic afterwards?
I think so. For clarity,
when you were at the scene.
So there's several channels that are involved here. You have Zone 3, Detective Radio, and TAC. So specifically, which
any?
I was probably still on Detective Radio. I just don't specifically recall.
Okay.
And then when the dispatcher advises people to go to TAC, I likely switched over to the TAC channel as well.
Okay. Were you involved in looking for any suspects on that day?
No.
Okay. Were you involved in assigning anyone to look for any suspects on that day?
I was not.
Were you involved in taking any descriptions of possible suspects on that day?
I did take 2 statements from 2 of the officers involved. I don't recall in my questioning.
I would object to any testimony that is hearsay from anyone not listed.
I've not asked for any hearsay testimony, Your Honor. The question was whether or not or a specific question did not call for hearsay. Actually, I'll ask the question again.
Oh, wait a second.
Yes. Were you?
Yeah, you can answer that.
Can you answer the question again?
Were you involved in taking any descriptions of potential suspects on that day?
I could have. I took 2 statements from 2 officers. I don't recall whether I specifically asked them to give me those descriptions. I may have. I'd have to read their statements.
Okay. Did you have any interaction with the individuals who were arrested by Officer Black, Officer Davis?
No.
Okay. Were those individuals gone by the time you arrived at that location?
I don't recall seeing any suspects, so I would assume yes.
Okay. Was there a point where Detective Lewis, you know who Detective Lewis is?
I'm not familiar with Detective Lewis.
Was there a Detective Lewis involved in this investigation on this day that you recall?
Not that I recall.
Okay. Do you recall receiving any photographs of someone named Adrian Bean?
I'm sorry, I do recall. My memory is reflected. Tracy Lewis. Detective Lewis did send me a photograph of Adrian Bean.
Okay. What did you do with that photograph of Adrian Bean?
I believe I sent it to Detective Quinn either via email or text.
Okay. You did not have any interaction personally with Adrian Bean, is that correct?
No.
Did you understand him to be someone who was in the vehicle that was at issue in this case?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. That will call for hearsay.
I stand.
All right. Let's go back a little bit and talk about the evidence that was shown to you by the state last week. You were aware that this red burgundy-ish vehicle was part of this incident, correct? The one that went into the laundromat, correct?
Yes.
All right. Now, tell me if you were aware of whether there were any fingerprints retrieved from that vehicle.
I don't know.
Do you know whether or not there were any hair or fibers retrieved from that vehicle?
I don't know. I wasn't involved in that part of the investigation.
The bullet defects that you were shown last week, remember you were shown a photograph of, when I said bullet defect, a hole in the window in building 300, I think?
Yes, sir.
Where a bullet had gone through. Was the bullet defect or the bullet itself actually retrieved from the wall inside of that apartment?
It was not.
Were you or anyone else able to determine which gun or what gun fired the bullet that went through that window?
No.
We know, though, and you know as part of your investigation, that investigator, officer Robeson L. actually discharged his weapon a number of times. Is that correct?
Correct.
In fact, there were shell casings that were found there at the location that came from his gun. Is that right? Or do you know that?
I don't know conclusively. I've not read the crime lab report. It's assumed they were the same caliber, same make and manufacturer as the ammunition that we carry.
Okay. The vehicle that was shown last week, the one that had the broken out rear window, all right? Was there a bullet fragment or bullet or anything found inside of the vehicle that actually made that broke the window? Was a bullet retrieved?
I wasn't involved in that part of the investigation. I don't know.
Would it be fair to say that you don't know, we don't know what bullet actually broke that window?
Your Honor, I want to object. That will call for speculation.
Do you know?
Still calls for speculation. I'm saying objection.
Was that vehicle with the broken window located in the same area where Officer Robeson L. discharged his firearm?
Your Honor, I'm going to object because that would call for hearsay.
If he knows, Your Honor.
No, I'll rule an objection. If he knows.
If you're referring to the red vehicle involved in the incident, the only...
No.
I'm sorry.
No, the one that had the broken out rear.
Yo, shout out to Steph JK with the gifted membership. Appreciate that, family. Y'all see that part of his sleeve popping out on the other hand? Look, he got the cross on the end, too. I see you, family.
If he knows.
If you're referring to the red vehicle involved in the incident, the only...
No.
I'm sorry.
No, the one that had the broken out rear window. I guess it was a silver vehicle. I'll tell you what type of vehicle.
Suburban.
Suburban. Was it a Suburban or a Tahoe?
Or the SUV.
Right. You know which one I'm talking about.
I understand which vehicle you're speaking. Can you ask the question again, please?
Yeah. Was that vehicle located in the same area where Officer Robeson discharged his firearm?
It was located in the same apartment complex, and I think area is a vague term. I'm not sure what you mean by area.
Well, do you know...
Proximity of where shell casings were was not far from there.
So, do you know where it was Officer Robeson was when he discharged his firearm?
And Your Honor, that would call for hearsay, so I object.
I'll stand the objection.
Do you know where the shell casing from Officer Robeson L's gun was located in the complex?
I object. Your Honor. That would call for speculation.
That's based on his observation, Your Honor.
He has, I'm a senior judge.
Did you see the shell case, a 40 caliber shell casing?
I located 3.
Okay. Where were they located?
Can I refer to my report?
Absolutely.
So my report, as I listed the evidence marker 3, 4, and 5 are the shell cases, the 40 caliber shell casings.
Okay.
And when you are measuring evidence, you pick 2 points of reference, point A and point B, to triangulate the evidence. Point A, just for the purpose of measurements, was the southwest corner of building 100. Point B is the southeast corner of building 100. So from, do you want me to actually give the measurements, sir?
No, I don't need the measurements.
Oh, that's the only thing I can testify to.
Okay. You know generally where they were located in the apartment complex. Is that fair to say?
I do, according to my measurements, yes.
Okay. And so, knowing where those shell casings were located, and do you know where the vehicle, the SUV, was located that had the rear window shot out?
Yes.
Okay. Were those shell casings in close proximity to that vehicle?
Your Honor, I would object to too vague, but too close.
That's the objection.
Give us, if you would, don't say close or far or around. Just give us the measurement, the distance from the shell casings to the vehicle.
There is no measurement. So we don't measure. The measurement is for the evidence location, but based on my diagram, I can testify the vehicle was by the front gate, leasing office, and shell case, well, the casings, evidence marker 3, 4, and 5, the 40 caliber shell casings, were just across the entrance gate. And just thinking back and looking at the photographs, I would estimate probably 50 feet.
50 feet.
Give or take.
Thank you. Did you have, you did not have any interaction with someone by the name of Walter Murphy on that day, did you?
No, sir.
Were you involved in the decision to issue any charges or taking out any?
Steph JK then brought somebody else in. Shout out to Steph JK for the membership. If y'all got a membership from Steph JK, please say thank you. She trying to bring all y'all into the gang, huh? Hey, FFS, I got the key. I figured out how to do it live too, the voice change. So I could do live voice changes if Kat want to know how to do it. I could show her how to do it, let her know, you know what I'm saying? So if y'all want the love voice to change on her live stream, y'all got to tell her to talk to me about that. Nah, but much love, family. Appreciate y'all being here. Let's go.
Any warrants against anyone by the name of Walter Murphy?
I was not.
Were you at any time after this day, September 11th of 2013, called upon to testify in any form or fashion in any case involving a Walter Murphy?
I was not.
So, if I hear your testimony correctly, you went to the location on that day, true?
I did.
You drew the legend that kind of made reference to where the different items of evidence were, correct?
I did.
You drove to the laundromat, true?
Yes.
You did not interview anyone arrested in this case, correct?
Correct.
You were not the lead investigator.
I was not.
You spoke to 2 officers, correct?
I took statements from 2 officers.
Okay. Was Officer Porter, Bridget Porter, one of those people?
Yes.
Okay. Without telling us what she said, were you able to get a written statement, or a statement, I don't know if it was written or not, from Officer Porter?
Yes.
Was it your understanding from investigating this case and talking to her that she was a witness to a portion of this incident?
That calls for hearsay.
Your Honor, it goes to his investigation. If he...
It's still hearsay.
Did you talk to Officer Porter because you believe that she was a witness to this case and was necessary in your investigation?
I'm going to sustain the question. It's compounding.
Okay. Did you believe, based on your investigation, that Officer Porter was a witness in this case?
Objection, Your Honor.
Oh, objection. You can answer it.
Yes.
All right. And was that the reason that you spoke to her?
Yes.
And was that the reason that you took a statement from her?
Yes.
And as we discussed before, when you take statements, those statements may later on be passed on to the prosecuting authority, like the DA's office, right?
Correct.
So that they would have the information that you garnered from that witness, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Any reason to believe that wasn't done in this case?
What wasn't done?
That the information in regards to Officer Porter wasn't passed on?
I don't have any reason to believe it wasn't, no.
Okay. Did you leave, I mean, have I properly summarized essentially what you did in regards to this case, or was there something else that you did?
Object as to testimony regarding properly summarized. He's testifying.
I sustain the objection.
All right. The question I asked you before about the things that you did, going to the location, going to the laundromat, are those the things that you did on that day?
Yes.
All right. Did you at some point leave the scene?
Yes.
Did you have any further involvement in the case after that?
Taking 2 statements back at homicide, yes.
Okay. And after that, anything else?
No.
Okay. One moment, please.
Yes, sir.
How many murders did you investigate in Jonesboro South Apartments?
My recollection, personally, 2 that I can recall in my 17 years.
How about drug crimes?
In the 90s, I think maybe 3 or 4 arrests I personally made in Jonesboro South.
Was Jonesboro South a subsidized housing community?
It was part of the Atlanta Housing Authority.
Okay. And when you investigated drugs and murders in Jonesboro South Apartments, did you have an occasion to talk to members out there in the community?
I did.
Did those members in the community talk back to you and give you helpful information?
Yes, often.
Were there ones that did not?
There were some residents who were not helpful.
Would you agree that Jonesboro South Apartments was a lower income community?
Yes.
Would you agree that many of the residents out in Jonesboro South were at the poverty level?
I think based on it being a housing property, subsidized housing.
Look, he didn't have no problem with saying no. Y'all remember when he asked all the black cops about that, and the black cops didn't want to say, they was like, I don't want to talk about the area, or I don't want to discredit the area like that. All the white cops are he ain't white, but the white cop said it with him too. He said, yeah, it's a poverty area.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you were investigator for 17 years, I think you indicated?
Yes, sir.
During those 17 years of investigating crimes, did you have an occasion to interview witnesses?
I did.
Did you have an occasion to get statements from those witnesses?
Yes.
Did you, during the course of your investigations, did you start an interview with a person and record it and then erase the recording?
I've done that.
Have you ever been in a position where you took a statement from a witness, you recorded it, and then you decided you're going to delete it and not send it over to anyone?
No.
That would be wrong?
Yes.
Tell the jurors why that would be wrong.
Because that's evidence. You're deleting evidence. It doesn't matter if that evidence showed that it meant nothing, but it was a part of your investigative file.
If it is it a crime to delete evidence?
I'm sure it is. Yes.
Called obstruction of justice?
Amongst other things.
Tampering with evidence?
And probably oath of office.
Violation of oath of a police officer's office if the officer did that?
Yes, sir.
All right. I want to ask you.
You were investigated for 17 years, I think you indicated?
Yes, sir.
During those 17 years of investigating crimes, did you have an occasion to interview witnesses?
I did.
Did you have an occasion to get statements from those witnesses?
Yes.
Did you, during the course of your investigations, did you start an interview with a person and record it and then erase the recording?
I've done that.
How many times have you done that?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance.
Goes to credibility, Your Honor.
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I don't know. As I testified before, in context, many times I would have a tape recorder just running in my lapel, in my pocket, and knocking on doors. And again, as I'm interviewing someone or witnesses especially, they would lie. I would have facts or have a feeling, not even knowing. And then through the conversation, start over and say, okay, an official statement, and then speak on the official statement that what you told me before was untrue, and then record that statement and submit it.
So you're using the term official statement. When does a statement become official to you?
I think once we get down to them understanding that they have lied, if it's a lie, and we start getting to the facts of the statement, it's official. Much of the conversation many times is very superficial, leading up to the information that we want to ask them.
Isn't it true, Investigator Velasquez, that a statement really doesn't become official to you until the things that are being said match with what you want it to be?
Objection. Argumentative.
I sustain the objection.
When the information that a witness is disclosing to you does not line up with whatever your other course of your investigation or the information that you have, it's not official at that point, correct?
It could be if that's their statement. If taking statements where clearly the person is lying and they're sticking to that story, and then that's what I'm left with.
Okay. When you say clearly that person is lying, let's just be clear here. When an event happens, Investigator Velasquez, generally speaking, you don't see it happen, correct?
Correct.
Generally speaking, you're not there when it happens, right?
I would agree, yeah.
And the information that you're getting from these people out of these scenes and these investigations, it's information that they, a lot of times, either saw, correct?
Yes.
Heard, correct?
Yes.
And they're giving you what they believe or what they're telling you happened, right?
Right.
Now, so you don't know from one statement to another, in fact, that a person is, quote, lying, right?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Many times when you take statements, there's several people who may have observed the same thing.
Okay.
And especially if 2 people or 3 people are involved, if it's several witnesses that are part of a group.
Okay.
And one gives a statement that is in contradiction to the other, then there's a determination on who is telling. Someone's lying.
Okay.
So,
can you direct the jury to anywhere you're familiar with the Atlanta Police Department standard operating procedures?
Yes.
And that that is the guideline in the book that police officers, investigators, and law enforcement in
Not the whole mouth on the water bottle. Steph JK.
general are governed by in terms of how to conduct their affairs as police officers, right?
Yes.
All right. Officers are familiar with the Atlanta Police Department's standard operating procedures.
Yes.
And that is the guideline in the book that police officers, investigators, and law enforcement in general are governed by in terms of how to conduct their affairs as police officers, right?
Yes.
All right. Is there anywhere in the Atlanta Police Department's standard operating procedures, because I've looked,
Objection, Your Honor, to the testimony.
is there anywhere in those procedures where it says that it is okay or appropriate to record then erase statements?
I don't know. I would have to look through the standard operating procedures. There's probably volumes of documents that I would have to review.
Thanks for joining.
I just don't know the answer to that.
And but for 17 years you operated under those particular guidelines, right?
Yes.
And would it surprise you that there's nowhere in the standard operating
I'm going to object to
basis.
I haven't finished my question.
He is assuming that's not in evidence when he asks, would it surprise the witness?
I stand there. That's the point, sir.
Do you know that there is no area in SOPs that discuss?
I'm going to object yet again for the same reason.
Same question.
Do you know if there is any area in the standard operating procedures that discuss statements, to how statements are to be obtained by police officers and investigators?
I know that there is an area that covers when to take a statement, to gather information of an incident. Generally speaking, my experience with reading SOPs they're very general of what you should do in a certain circumstance. If there's a witness, take a statement and then decide whether it's videotape statement, audio statement, written statement. But most SOPs are very general in nature and don't really dial into very much specifics.
And as you're thinking and recalling back to the area that you just testified to in terms of statements, you know that in that area that you just thought of, there's no...
I'm going to object to assuming facts not in evidence when...
I stand the objection.
No further questions. Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, Mr. Short.
Detective Velasquez.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You just indicated that in your experience, in your time as a detective, you have erased statements before, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to object to the questions concerning as relevance.
I'm over.
Now, as part of your duties as an investigator, you also write reports, correct?
Correct.
And reports the purpose of the reports are to accurately memorialize what's been done in a case, correct?
Correct.
Okay. In these situations where you've written reports and also have erased a witness's statement, do you note in your report that you erased the statement?
No, what I would note in my report is that he lied and then admitted to lying the first time we spoke or in his first statement. And I think it's assumed that it's not available for review because now we then sit down and start talking about the facts of the case.
Okay, so when in your reports, you would make some indication that a previous statement was made.
Correct. And if it was obviously a lie, I would indicate in my report that that person was untruthful in our initial encounter. And then subsequently another statement was made and it was memorialized and included in the file.
Understood. You know what discovery is, correct?
I do.
Okay, and you're aware that the police reports that you write are eventually passed along to defense attorneys, correct?
Correct.
And you're aware that statements that are recorded are eventually passed out over to defense attorneys as part of discovery, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You would agree that it's important to know what witnesses say?
Yes.
Okay. In the event of you personally erasing statements, the defense attorneys would have an opportunity to view your report, correct?
Yes.
And see that there was initially a lie.
I'm sorry.
There was initially a lie told, correct?
Correct.
Based on your belief that it was a lie.
Or my belief that the person I'm speaking to admitted that they lied.
Okay, fair enough. You would agree, though, through discovery that erased statement is no longer available to the defense attorneys, correct?
Well, it is because it's memorialized in the report.
Do you give quotes in your reports about what was said in the erased statement?
I could, depending on, the situation. If it was specific to, like, as an example, the color of a car or...
That's who I was talking about the other day. That's the only other Quez I know. That's Quez. Mike and Quez is Detective Quinn and Velasquez.
A time of day that may be relevant. If that was the lie, I would quote that.
And why would you quote that?
Because it would be relevant.
It would be relevant.
That would be the lie.
Right, and it would be relevant and important for defense attorneys to know what was said, even in the lie?
I don't know. I mean, I think my obligation would be to memorialize it and turn it over to the DA's office, and then the legal ease that happens between both sides. I think that's beyond my interpretation.
But you do view it as your obligation to at least memorialize it?
Yes.
The gatekeeper.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Any further questions? Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
May retired Detective Velasquez be permanently or temporarily excused as a witness at this time?
You may be correct.
Thank you.
All right, sir, I'm going to permanently excuse you as a witness. I thank you for your time and patience with us, and
thank you.
Please don't discuss your testimony with anybody except the attorneys in this case, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, sir.
Under the direction, again, understanding that Detective Quinn was the lead investigator.
And I have just a couple more questions for you. And did you take a statement from then Officer Ashley Davis?
Yes.
I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 128C, which is already a part of evidence, and I don't want you to read anything. I just want you to acknowledge whether or not this was a statement. And you can flip over.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, one second. You also interviewed the person at Grady by the name of Frederick.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And did you watch or review any of the interviews of other persons, Derek Dotson in particular?
Yes, ma'am.
And after watching the interview of Derek Dotson, was there anything of note to you that you advised the investigator claim?
Objection, relevant. And goes to hearsay. And confrontation clause. I assume that was Mr. Adams and Mr. Okay, all right. I'm overruled objection, sir, on all three grounds. Have the first, please. Sure.
Okay, Okay, so what contracts?
So we've done some in the past, so maybe 25,000 for like 6 months, a year, and that saves us money because if we have to hire an employee with the still 69% benefits, that would cost us a lot of money. So we use short-term contracts so that we can save money.
Yeah, black guy can't do wrong. Black guy in this motherfucking zone. Yeah, black boy making it home. Black boy ain't making it home. Trying to reach the crack of dawn.
Context evidence to this particular issue.
Okay, or rephrase the question.
Yes,
okay?
I'll rephrase.
Okay, all right.
And other than collecting and inventorying the $970 and interviewing
The witness, Mr. Prothrow, do you have any other specific responsibilities that are related to this case?
No, ma'am, I don't recall any other responsibilities other than that. I would like to clarify.
So there has been
and a specific objection. So, Your Honor, if I may, I don't want to.
Detective, you can only answer the question
that's been posed to you, okay? Okay, all right. Yes. Is that better?
And did you report or relay to Detective Quinn this $970?
That is correct. Yes, ma'am, I did.
That's all I have.
Cross.
Thank you. I asked you a little bit about your involvement in this
investigation, if you don't mind. Yes. September the 11th of 2013, you and other detectives responded to a location at Summerdale Crossings apartment. Is that true? That is correct.
Sir.
You were responding. You were part of the homicide division at that point. Isn't that right?
That is correct.
At that point, you had been on the Atlanta Police Department force for 20-plus
years? Yes. Okay. You were a detective or an investigator? Yes, sir. You had a significant amount of experience at that point. Am I correct? Yes. You responded. This wasn't a homicide, but you responded because this was an officer-involved shooting. Is that correct? Yes, officer-involved shooting. That is why we responded to it. And you arrived at the location, but you were not the main detective. The lead detective on the case was Detective David Quinn. Is that correct? That is correct, sir. Would it be fair to say that you would have taken your instructions in terms of what you needed to do from that detective? That is correct. You had an opportunity to observe the scene at the Summerdale Crossings apartment, true? Yes. And at some point, you subsequently went to a location not far from there, the laundromat, the coin laundromat that was adjacent to it, my words, but not far from Summerdale Crossings. That is correct. Right. Am I correct that you did not, that you did interview Ashley Davis? That is correct. Then Officer Davis was a part of the use of force investigation. We interviewed her the day after the other officers. Did you have occasion, do you know who Bridget Porter is, Officer Porter? I do remember Bridget Porter. It's been a while. She, did you have an opportunity to speak to Officer Porter on that day? I don't recall speaking to Officer Porter. Okay. You did, however, at some point, do I remember correctly, that you did not, were not involved in a canvass of the area? That is correct. And just to be clear, canvass of the area means where you go around and you speak to who may be witnesses or individuals who may or may not have seen something at the location. Yes, canvasses, the officers will go sometimes door to door knocking, and anyone standing out, and specifically ask people what they may have seen or heard. I didn't do that. Okay. What you did do, however, is that you went to Grady Hospital. Is that correct? That is correct, sir. And you went there specifically to interview an individual who was involved in this case. Is that right? Yes, that's correct. That gentleman's name was Frederick Prothrow. Is that right? That is correct. All right. You got to the location, and Mr. Prothrow was at the hospital. He was being treated for a gunshot wound. Isn't that correct? That is correct. And you had an opportunity to see him and meet with him. Is that correct? That is correct. You had an opportunity to speak with him? Yes. And as an investigator detective, I don't want you to tell us what he said, but he did in fact speak to you. Isn't that right? That is correct, sir. And as part of your normal in customary duties as an investigator, you recorded that statement. Is that true?
That is correct.
And would I be correct that you recorded the statement because that is a normal part of an investigation, isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
You would certainly want to record and document what a person who was involved in the case had to say about the case. True?
That is correct.
And that's what you did?
Yes.
Nothing unusual about that, right?
That is correct.
It is customary for investigators or detectives to take a statement of witnesses who might be involved in a particular case.
I'll rule the objection. Go ahead.
You had a recording device with you?
Yes, sir.
Now, when you spoke to Mr. Prothero, again, I want you to tell us what he said, but you would have listened to what it was he was telling you, correct?
That is correct, sir.
And as an investigator, one of the things that you do is you record those statements because you might need to use that statement later on, right?
Yes.
In fact, you might want to take that statement and compare it against other items of evidence or other statements that you may have in a particular case. Isn't that true?
Yes, that would be the purpose of it.
And you did so in this case.
Yes, sir.
You did not at any point make a judgment about whether or not Mr. Prothero was telling you the truth or not, right?
No, sir.
Your job as an APD, Atlanta Police Department detective, is to take the statement as it was told to you and record it, correct?
That is correct.
It would not be proper for you to make a decision that you didn't believe what he said and then to erase that statement.
Basis.
Testifying, assuming facts not in evidence.
I stand in objection.
Is it proper Atlanta Police Department policy to erase the statement of a witness once it's given?
No.
Once a person gives a statement and it's recorded by you, an Atlanta Police Department detective, it is in fact evidence, isn't it?
That is correct.
And it is improper to destroy evidence by deleting or erasing it, correct?
I stand as form. You can rephrase it.
It is improper as a detective to delete evidence, correct?
That would be improper.
It is improper
to erase evidence. Isn't that true?
That would be, yes, sir.
Oh shit, my bad, family. I didn't know I had the voice on. I just installed it today, so I'm still learning it. Appreciate you letting me know. My bad, man. I done messed up his whole interrogation, his whole interview.
When you went to, when you were there at Grady Hospital, was Detective Lewis at Grady Hospital as well?
Yes.
Okay. Detective Lewis, what's Detective Lewis's first name?
Tracy.
Tracy. Were there two individuals involved in the incident who were at Grady Hospital?
That is correct.
Okay. Would I be correct that you interviewed one and did Detective Lewis interview the other one?
That is correct.
All right. To your knowledge, did Detective Lewis have a recording device when he was tasked to go speak with the other individual? Excuse me.
And I don't know that she did. I can't speak to that, sir.
Okay. Was Detective Lewis a homicide investigator like you?
She was a homicide investigator, that's correct.
Did Detective Lewis back in 2013 have about the same number of years under her belt as you, or do you know?
No, I'm trying to, in my mind, I know she came to homicide, I don't know exactly when.
The name of the person that you interviewed was Frederick Prothero, is that right?
That is correct, sir.
Do you recall whether the name of the other person at Grady Hospital was Walter Murphy?
It was.
That would have been the person that Detective Lewis went to go deal with?
That is correct.
Am I correct that you would have written a report, all right, that documented what you did in this case and in this investigation?
Yes, sir.
That would be customary for a homicide detective to write a report documenting what they did in an investigation.
That
True?
is correct.
as an APD detective, when you write a report,
Yes, sir.
right, you can supplement that report later on, isn't that right?
Yes.
Okay.
You may add to it, add something. Yes, that is correct.
All right. But if you add to it, you would make a notation as to what the difference is, that you're supplementing it, and this is what's being added. Isn't that right?
And I'm trying to think of the best way how I do supplements. I was common practice to do reports as you would write a report as to something. And sometimes you may have a running report that on such and such date this happened, and then somewhere under there another date. So I don't know that you would just go back and say, well, this is addition to that. It would just be something else that you've learned, and there'd be chronicle like that.
Velasquez didn't do that, huh? Well, he didn't. That's not what he said. He said they erased recordings. That's different. Shout out to the child of y'all laughing at me. Yo, give me a break. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got no headphones. I should have been wearing headphones before I used that feature, but you know, it is what it is. Let's go, family.
Right, because it's important to document if there's additional information that comes in.
Yes.
That you then put on a separate report.
Yes.
Right? All right. And that is common practice with Atlanta Police Department
Yes.
detectives.
Well, it's generally what I would do. Yes.
All right.
I mean, I got
One
some,
moment,
but I didn't have them on.
I believe that there is a lie or something of that nature that's being told during the course of an investigation by a witness.
Your Honor, objection, cause for speculation.
I sustain the objection.
Are you familiar with the crime false statements?
Objection.
Making a false statement?
Yes.
Hold on, sir. Hold on.
Yes, I'm sorry.
That's all right. I sustain the objection.
Okay. Are you familiar, Detective Calhoun, when a person during the course of an investigation, if they make a false statement to you, what do you do with that?
Objection, relevance, and cause for speculation.
I sustain the objection.
Have you ever arrested anyone for making a false statement?
Here she go with her objection. She don't want Matthews to get out what he talking about because of what Velasquez just said, and it's proven that he full of shit.
No, sir.
Okay. Has anyone ever made a false statement during the course of your investigations?
Yes.
Okay. It's discretionary in terms of whether you would make an arrest for false statements?
Yes, I would say it's discretionary. People, for one reason or another, may withhold something until you find out that something is different, and you go back and confront them with it. Well, you said this one time, why did you say that? It's
right.
Part of an investigation.
And as a homicide investigation, you're investigating murders, correct?
Yes.
You're not generally investigating false statements, correct?
That is correct.
And that's probably the reason that you make a decision not to make an arrest on a false statement, correct?
I sustain the objection.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, Mr. App.
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective Calhoun, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
My name's Jay Apt. Nice to meet you. Did your investigation in this case, it did not involve Mr. Diamante Kendrick in any way, shape, or form, isn't that correct?
I'm not even familiar who that is, sir.
Do you know this man in the white sweater sitting next to me?
No, I don't.
You don't know him at all?
I don't.
Thank
Yo, y'all remember they used to ask every person that came up, like, y'all know him? Y'all know him? Don't nobody know none of these people in there.
Thank you. No other questions.
Anything further from anybody? Any redirect from the state?
You want to get into in the future, work-wise?
Work-wise, I want to get into electrical wiring.
Do you have some familiarity with that in your past?
No, sir.
And who lives with you at your apartment?
Just my dog.
What kind of dog is it?
A Chihuahua mixed with a Jack Russell.
I'll overrule the objection.
What's their name?
Bubby.
Now, Mr. Pass, now, when y'all pulled into the apartment complex, what happened?
Well, when we pulled in, we sat in the car for a while and listened to a song. And when we got ready to get out the car, I just remember Dirty going to the side like, whoa, 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 what's going on? And I looked and it was somebody at my.
I missed him overruled the objection. He said, I overruled the objection for his dog as relevance. Then he asked his name. What's his name? Bubby. Yo, shout out to Texas T. This is the guy that pulled in before the cops, the one that the cops followed into the apartments, and this is the guy that DK allegedly robbed that day that all this happened, right before they crashed into the laundromat. This is supposed to be him that was there, but when you pay attention, he actually describing a different story. So it's not even the same person from my perspective. I don't think it's even the same incident. I think they combined in two different incidents. Appreciate y'all being here. Appreciate the question. Let's go, family.
Car door on my passenger side while I was sitting, and I looked and I tried to hurry up and get out the car, and that's when I hear a gunshot go off. And I tell Dirty, I say, run. And he looked, and he couldn't get away from the dude, and he just took off running. And shots was going off.
So, Mr. Bass, thank you for sharing that. I want to break this down. I'm going to publish what's already been admitted as 78, Charlie. Now, Mr. Bass, do you recognize anything in this photograph, however big or small?
The tassel in the car.
What do you recognize about that?
It's the same tassel from the high school I went to.
Now, using this car as an example, you all pulled into the apartment complex. Would you have been on your left and my left in the photograph when you were seated in the car?
I would have been on your left.
And would Mr. Dotson have been on our right?
Correct.
Now, I'm going to also publish what's been admitted as 79, Charlie. Another photograph about to come up, Mr. Bass.
They came from the direction of the driver's side.
Okay. And in this photograph, you see, it's kind of hard to see, but you see in the top left, there's that white van.
Yeah, I see it.
Is that, what part of the apartment complex is where that van is?
The entrance.
So.
The exit and the entrance,
Exit and the entrance?
Correct.
No, keep going, Mr. Bass.
It's the exit and the entrance. That's the front and the front gate, the entrance and the exit. One way in, one way out.
But the one, and when I say white van, do you see the front gate in the photograph, Mr. Bass?
Yes.
And so did the suspect come from the general direction of the front of the apartment complex?
No, he came like from where the caution tape at on the right side of the picture.
Got it. And who got out of the car first? You or Mr. Dotson?
Mr. Dotson was out first.
Okay. And what did this guy say when he approached you all?
He said, Dirty, you know what time it is?
Now, what do you know, or what do you take, you know what time it is to mean?
It mean really everything you got on you got to get up.
So is it fair to say that's like a robbery?
Basically what it is.
Now, did he fire this shot, was it in the air, in the ground?
In the ground.
Okay. And how close was Mr. Dotson to this gunman who fired the round?
He was approximately about 2.5 to 3 feet away.
Okay. So now, Mr. Bass, I'm going to walk towards you.
Yes.
You tell me to stop when I'm going to be the gunman approaching you. You're Mr. Dotson, all right?
Mm-hmm.
You tell me when to stop, how far or how close he was.
Right there.
Okay. And Mr. Bass, where were you when he was right there by this gun?
I was outside of the car. Actually right outside the car by the passenger seat.
Okay.
Passenger side. I was outside the car on the passenger side.
Now, Mr. Bass, this vehicle in 79 Charlie, where is that in relation to where you all's car was parked when this happened?
It's in the same vicinity of where the car was.
Okay. So, using this photograph, when the gunman approached Mr. Dotson and fired the round, where would you have been? You can use this gray car as a reference point. And if you need to use the pointer, you can.
I was like outside the car next door to the passenger side.
To the front passenger or
the front passenger side.
Okay, got
It was around like 3 o'clock. Maybe from noon to like 3 o'clock afternoon time.
it. And was it a sunny day, a rainy day, a cloudy day?
It was a Sunday.
This gunman who approached, did he have a mask on?
No, he had long hair. You couldn't see his face.
Were you able to recognize?
My bad, I pushed the mute. He had long hair. You couldn't see his face? You talking about DK had long hair? And he had a little afro? What? You couldn't see his face because his long hair?
No.
Did he have a mask on?
No, he had long hair. You couldn't see his face.
Were you able to recognize his face?
No, sir.
Now, what was your initial reaction after the gunshot goes off?
I immediately started running.
And where did you run?
I ran towards the front gate.
I'm going to publish what's already been admitted as State's Exhibit 8, Charlie. Pass the gray car closest to the camera on the right side. And Mr. Bass, I'm going to use this pointer myself. You see this car right here?
Yes, sir.
So where is that car in general in relation to where this robbery happened?
That car wasn't there.
Using that car as kind of like a reference point, is that the kind of side of the parking lot y'all were on, or was it not?
That is the side of the parking lot we was on.
And using this, where did you take off to?
Towards the front gate down the parking lot.
Now, where did Mr. Johnson go?
He took off running in the opposite direction.
Okay. I'm going to publish 11, Charlie. Now, I'm going to need your help on this, Mr. Bass. So, where did you ever end up going outside of the gate?
I did.
Okay. Can you show the jury what part of this, if any, on this photograph that you left that apartment complex when you were running after the gunshot?
Show them which way I left out?
Correct.
Okay.
If there's any, once you got passed through there, did you hear anything else?
It was about 3 shots, but after I got past that, I didn't hear nothing else.
Now, when these 3 shots, where did it sound like they were coming from?
Behind me.
And how close did it sound like they got to you?
All of them were real close.
How did you react to that?
I was astonished. I wasn't shot, you know.
Has anything like that happened to you while living in Summerdale apartment complex before?
No, sir. I ran towards the gas station by the McDonald's.
Is that the VP?
Yes.
Hold on, he ran towards the gas station? So he ran towards the direction where all the stuff went down? He ran out the gate where everybody was going and where the cops was shooting and chasing and flying and doing the Fast and Furious jumps. That's the way he ran.
Now, September 18, 2023.
Say that date again.
September 18, 2023?
I do.
Okay. Now, when you spoke with this detective, was this armed robbery fresher in your mind or not as fresh in your mind as it is today?
Objection to the characterization of an armed robbery.
I sustain the objection.
Mr. Pass, did that suspect approach you with a gun? Approach you and Mr. Dotson with a gun?
Correct.
Now, did you ever come to learn if anything was taken from that vehicle?
Objection to the hearsay.
No.
I'm an overruling objection.
Now, when he, what did you think that armed gunman who shot at you was after? Was he there to talk with you, to take something?
Speculation.
I sustain the objection.
When he approached you with a gun and said, you know what time it is, what did you think he wanted? And I'm going to ask you a couple things if you recall telling him, okay? So, do you remember the address of his apartment complex? Are those events better on September 18, 2013, or as you sit here today?
It was better then.
So, is there some things today in terms of details? Is there any things that I've asked you thus far that you do not remember?
It has been.
If some of the questions I've asked you, Detective Quinn asked you, or you gave answers to, would those be more or less accurate than what you told him back then? And so, is there some things today in terms of details? Is there any things that I've asked you thus far that you do not remember?
It has been.
If some of the questions I've asked you, Detective Quinn asked you, or you gave answers to, would those be more or less accurate than what you told him back then?
I understand the question.
That's all right. It's a bad question. Let me ask another one. So, if I ask you some questions today that you don't know, all right? Would your answers back then to Detective Quinn to those same questions, would they be fair and accurate?
Objection, ask and answer.
Oh, the objection stands.
So I'll put it this way, Mr. Bass. Is there some things, so with some of the things that we talked about today, like the details,
Yes.
if some of these details you don't remember today, but you talked about with that detective on September 18th, would your answers to those questions that you gave him be correct?
Yes.
I'm going to overrule it. I'm going to sustain the objection on all the grounds, Mr. Adams.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pass.
Good afternoon.
All right, my name is Keith Adams, sir. You and I have not had the pleasure of talking before, is that correct? We've not met before.
No, sir.
Okay. I want to ask you a couple questions about what you just testified to.
Yes.
And this was 2013, so a little bit over 10 years ago. Is that right?
I'm not sure when it was, but I guess y'all keep the records. This.
Okay. It was a long time ago.
Yes.
All right. All right. So the day that this happened, you were living at Summerdale Commons apartment. True?
Correct.
All right. You were leaving the apartment on that day. And in fact, you did leave the apartment, didn't you?
Yes.
You and Mr. Dotson were in a vehicle.
Yes, sir.
You all left the location. True?
Yes.
And then you came back to Summerdale Commons Apartments, right?
Yes.
All right. When you get back to the apartment complex.
And also for those who don't know, Mr. Dotson, that's Dirty Red. He ended up passing away in jail. Not sure. I don't know how long after this, but I know he passed away in jail. He hung himself. So, yeah.
You are in the passenger side of the car, right?
Yes.
Mr. Dotson is on the driver's side, right?
Correct.
It is just the two of you in that vehicle at that time, right?
Correct.
All right. Now, did you and was the car parked when all of this happened?
The car was parked.
Okay. So, am I correct then that Mr. Dotson had pulled the car into a parking space?
Correct.
All right. And at some point, after the car is parked, you and Mr. Dotson, you sat in the car, listened to some music for a little while, right?
Yes.
And then you heard, or you recognized that there was someone coming up to the car door.
No, they didn't come to the car door.
Okay? They were coming towards the car. Is that right?
Mr. Dotson was already out the car. They approached him.
Okay. So Mr. Dotson gets out of the car, right?
Yes.
Are you still in the car at that time, or did you also get out?
I was getting out at that time.
You were what now?
I was getting out at that time.
Okay. Someone comes up and says something to the effect of, Dirty Red, you already know what it is, right?
You know what time it is.
You know what time it is.
Yes.
Right? You heard that.
Yes.
And the next thing you heard was a gunshot go off.
Yes.
All right? The person who came up and said,
Yeah, Dirty Red. I'll talk about it maybe next time.
Dirty Red, and that was in fact Derek Dotson's nickname, right? Dirty Red.
Yes.
So the person called him by his nickname, right? True?
Correct.
All right. And so at that point, you heard, you saw this person, and the person was an African-American male, a black man, right?
Yes, sir.
I know you asked earlier about the description. Did you say you don't recall telling the detective that the person had like a short afro?
Yes, I don't recall.
Okay. The person was not that tall though, right?
It's kind of, I can't really remember. I don't know.
Okay.
'Cause I wasn't that close to the person.
Okay. You were on the other side of the car.
Yes.
All right. You hear the shot go off. One shot, right?
Yes, one shot.
The shot is, did you see the person shoot in the direction?
I believe so at Tall Glass. I'm not sure. It's been a long time since I looked at that. I looked at that like months ago, but I had to look back into it though. Appreciate it. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, tap in, share with a friend. We almost out of here, family. Got a little bit over 30 minutes.
Of Derek Dotson's feet?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Now, so if the car is right here, right? You're on the passenger side of the car, correct?
Yes.
Derek Dotson is on the driver's side of the car, right?
He was in front of the car, on the driver's side of the car. He, like you just getting out of the car and walk straight. He was walking straight from the door.
Like if this is the car right here, he's like up here near the front of the car on the driver's side.
Yes.
Okay. The person then comes and you hear the shot, right?
I heard the shot.
Right. Shot at his feet, and Mr. Dotson takes off in what direction?
He didn't take off immediately. He said, "You tripping, man? What going on?" You know, like that. And like trying to figure out is maybe somebody trying to, you know, have a bad day or something, you know, maybe, you know. And then he was like, "You know what time it is?" And that's when I told him to run.
You told him to run.
I said, "Run."
Right.
And
Did you run?
he took out running, and I took out running. We both were left in different directions.
Okay. You ran towards the front of the apartment complex, right?
Correct.
Towards the gate.
Yes.
Mr. Dotson ran in the opposite direction, correct?
Yes.
The person with the gun ran where? After Mr. Dotson?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
You didn't see where that person went.
No, I didn't.
Okay? But, and you're not looking because you're running towards the front of the apartment complex at that point, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay. You don't know where the gunman went, and you don't know where Mr. Dotson went. Is that true?
No, I don't know.
Okay. You didn't see the gunman, the person with the gun, do anything after that, right?
No, I didn't.
So you're not in a position to tell this jury, I saw him go in this direction or that. You can't tell, you don't know what he did.
Who, the gunman?
Yes.
No, I don't know what the gunman did. I was running.
Right.
I know some shots was coming at me, though, while I was running. I was still going.
All right. When you start running, then you hear some other gunshots, don't you?
Yeah, I was gone, man.
So I need you to estimate for me, right?
Okay.
Hold on. Now he's saying he heard gunshots coming towards him too? What? Yo, shout out to Aries 1 with the gifted membership. Welcome, Black Butterfly. Welcome to the team. Welcome to the family. Appreciate you being here. Oh yeah, also Derek Dotson was a known drug dealer also around this time. So that could have had something to do with DK and them going over there, meeting them, trying to rob them for that money or whatever happened. I don't know what happened, but he was also a known drug dealer before the prison situation.
The time you take off running, right, to the time you hear some more gunshots, how much time has passed?
I say count seconds, about 30 seconds.
Okay.
Maybe a little less.
Okay. So, sounds like pretty close in time.
Yeah.
Okay. You're running. You hear some gunshots. Do you hear any more gunshots after that second series of shots?
I don't recall.
Okay. When you ran out the front gate. Now, well, actually, before we get there, although this guy with the gun came up and said, "Dirty Red, you already know what time it is." You didn't see him take anything from Mr. Dotson, did you?
He dropped the money on the ground.
What money was dropped on the ground?
Mr. Dotson. He dropped some money on the ground. Because we were coming back from paying bills and running errands and stuff, you know. And he had cash on him. I had gave him my portion of my rent. He had cash on him. And I was just telling him we need to go to the bank and stuff, but we were getting lunch, you know. And we were going to do it. But that's what happened soon we got out the car. And I was really upset.
So your testimony is that at some point after the gunman walks up, Derek Dotson drops some cash on the ground.
No, after the gunman shot at the ground, he dropped the money on the ground he had in his pocket. He said, "You can have it." Like he didn't say you can have it, but he threw it out of his pocket, like, you know, you can have it, you know.
Okay.
He just dropped it on the ground.
And then
I told him to run.
Uh-huh.
And I looked around and tried to see, make sure nobody else was coming, make sure I'm in the clear, and I took off running, and he took off running. Both of us left different directions.
And you saw the gunman, the guy with the gun, pick up the money that was on.
I didn't see him pick it up. I was already gone.
Okay. All right. I want to jump ahead a little bit, because remember talking to a detective at some point after that, right?
Correct.
You remember the detective actually came to the apartment complex and was talking to you outside, right?
Yes.
All right. You remember telling that detective that there wasn't any money taken, or you didn't see any money taken?
I don't recall telling him that.
Okay. But you certainly did talk to the detective and told him everything that you remembered on that day, right?
Correct.
And it was, let me see. If this happened on the 13th of September, it was about 5 days later on the 18th when the detective showed up to the apartment complex and spoke to you. That sound about right?
Facts, Brandy P. That whole thing was a fabricated story. That was Detective Quinn trying to use whatever happened with this incident. Detective Quinn was trying to recreate an incident so he could put it on his homicide detective show, and he had Bean there with him. They wrote the script together.
Yes, it's about in the same range.
Couple days?
Yeah.
Okay. Now today, your recollection is that Dirty Red dropped some money, and you didn't see the gunman pick it up, but you saw money drop, right?
Yes.
Now, I want you to think real hard, and would you, after thinking about it for a while, admit that that is absolutely not what you told the detective back then?
Objection, Your Honor. Basis. It's argumentative to a point, even for cross.
Yeah, M. Shannon, it's part of the same situation. This still the same situation. This is part of that. This is when they say Thug was in the back seat.
I'm over the objection. You can answer it.
Want to answer again?
Yes, please.
Okay. After thinking about it, right now, are you willing to admit that this whole thing about dropping money on the ground, you didn't tell the detective anything about that, did you?
Objection, Your Honor.
Basis.
Willing to admit he's testifying?
I sustain the objection.
I don't remember.
Do you know if the detective was recording your statement?
Yes, I do remember.
Was he?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Do you know if the detective was recording your statement?
Yes, I do remember.
Was he?
Yes.
Okay.
Brady. The Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch.
All right. Did I hear you say that you don't really have a good recollection of what the person was wearing that day, do you?
No, sir.
Okay, you don't remember a red shirt?
No, sir.
Afro?
No, sir.
All right, Mr. Pass. That's all I have. Thank you.
No further questions from the state. Thank you, Detective Bay.
Cross.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'd like to ask you a couple questions, if I could.
Yes, sir.
Okay. It is my understanding, back in 2013, September 11th, that you came out to this scene that you've been talking about and educating the jury as a person who was going to either direct or take charge of memorializing or photographing and sketching the crime scene. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
And the crime scene, as you articulated so eloquently, started with the vehicle, the 2004 Nissan Altima. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And did you physically take the pictures, or did you have one of the crime scene techs, at your direction, of course? I know they're civilians, but did you direct them, hey, this is what I want you to do?
Yes, the crime scene techs took all the photographs.
Okay. And that's under, I assume, you were there, you were witnessing, making sure that it was done to your satisfaction?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When something unexpected happens, you may get confused, you may not see what you see, or you may see it perfectly. It depends on the person. Is that fair to say?
Objection, Your Honor, vague.
That's the same question.
Okay. When you take statements from a witness, or a potential witness, sometimes that witness, although trying to give you the best information they can, sometimes their recollection may not be the same as a recollection for other people. Is that fair to say?
Objection, Your Honor. Compound question.
That wasn't compound. Yo, shout out to Black Butterfly. Appreciate you being here. Welcome to the family. Welcome as a new member.
Wasn't compound.
I'll sustain. You can rephrase, Mr.
Not be the same as a recollection for other people. Is that fair to say?
Objection, Your Honor. Compound question.
That wasn't compound.
I'll sustain. You can rephrase, Mr. Steele.
Have you ever interviewed a witness where they said something in contradiction or conflict with, let's say, another witness?
Yes.
Okay. And that doesn't mean that the witness is lying. Like, when I say lying, I mean intentionally fabricating. The witness may just have a different perception. Is that fair to say?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'll rule the objection.
Yes.
And therefore, somebody in your position who has dedicated themselves to understanding, learning, and then teaching, you want to get as much information as possible from all sources to ensure, as best you can, that all information can one day be delivered potentially to a jury. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
And amongst that, we have tools that are used to analyze evidence. Is that correct?
I have no idea what you were talking about.
Okay. Photographs.
Oh, you mean demonstratives?
Sure.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
You said, I think you articulated at the beginning some of your background. I'm not saying it's all of it, but you studied under the DEA, fair to say?
I took an investigative class with the DEA.
FBI.
Took a street survival investigative class with the FBI.
GBI.
Investigative class with the GBI.
And you're with APD?
Yes, sir.
And APD, for the ladies and gentlemen jury, they probably know, but Atlanta Police Department.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when you're processing a crime scene, you are potentially collecting evidence, or hopefully collecting evidence. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
And the reason we do that, or you do that, is so you can bring to life to the jury, for the court, for the prosecutors, for the lawyers, for the witnesses who weren't there, you could bring what you saw or what you memorialized. Fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you said the motto, I think I got this right, but the motto is of the Atlanta Police Department, something to...
Oh, I never said it was the motto of the Atlanta Police Department.
Okay, well, I'm glad you said that. Your motto is, we'd rather have the information and not need it than not have it.
That's not what I said.
What did you say?
I said we'd rather have it, not need it, than need it and not have it.
Okay, I apologize for misquoting you. And the point that you made is, if we are more inclusive with our information, the better the results could be later, potentially.
No.
What did you mean by it?
That we take every piece. I was talking about crime scene specifically. We try to take as much evidence as we can from the scene. Whether or not it turns out to be evidence or not, at least we had it and we can determine later on, or the lead detective can determine later on if it's of evidentiary value. I didn't know much information going into the scene. I was just asked to come and process the scene.
Understood, and thank you for clarifying that. Now, does that include taking witness statements? Do you ever take a witness statement on a recording?
Yes, but on this day, I do not take any witness statements. My sole objective was to process the crime scene.
Understood. But in general, have you taken witness statements on a recording?
That are recorded?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Have you done it where you have the witness write out a statement, then verify that's what they said and they sign it?
Oh, I haven't done that in probably over 12 years.
Okay. Recording's the way to go.
Look, you see him setting her up for the question, right? He creeping it in, like making sure she lined up so he can knock it down.
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever been in a position where you took a statement from a witness, you recorded it, and then you decided you're going to delete it and not send it over to anyone?
No.
That would be wrong?
Yes.
Tell the jurors why that would be wrong.
Because that's evidence. You're deleting evidence. It doesn't matter if that evidence showed that it meant nothing, but it was a part of your investigative file.
If it is it a crime to delete evidence?
I'm sure it is, yes.
Called obstruction of justice?
Amongst other things.
Tampering with evidence?
And probably oath of office.
Violation of oath of a police officer's office if an officer did that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I want to ask you.
Hold on. Was that Love coughing her throat to give her a signal to shut up?
Oath of office, it is. Yes.
Called obstruction of justice?
Amongst other things.
Tampering with evidence?
And probably oath of office.
Violation of oath of a police officer's office if an officer did that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I want to ask you.
Okay. Summer R. Benton, S-U-M-M-E-R. R is my middle initial. Benton, B as in boy, E-N, T as in Tom, O-N.
Good afternoon, Detective Benton.
Good afternoon.
Where are you currently employed?
City of Atlanta Police Department Homicide Unit.
And how long have you been with the City of Atlanta?
Over 22 years.
How long have you been in the homicide unit?
Almost 15 years.
Green, or we can go old school, we have a wooden pointer. Your preference.
Did you just say a wooden pointer?
That's correct. It's on that chalkboard right there.
I'm good.
Okay, so tap that bottom left of the screen, and it should come up.
Mm-hmm.
And if you need any help, let me know.
So this right here is Old Hateville Road. So I believe it was 2745 Old Hateville Road was the location that we were called out on. And that's what this location is, plus the parking areas around it. It's the Cleveland Coin Laundry, which is right here. Is the name that I put. I always put it in the top left-hand corner, or try to. And this, of course, is where the majority of our crime scene was focused on. And this is an aerial view. So if you were looking at something from above, straight down, that's how we're seeing the crime scene drawing.
And Detective Benton, that rectangle with a triangle in the very back, right underneath the time on this, what is that?
A vehicle. That's Georgia Tag Baker Mary Queen 5886, and that's the vehicle that most of the evidence was around.
And what is the vehicle behind it?
The vehicle behind it is a patrol vehicle.
Now, I want to walk through these items and kind of rotate between the crime scene sketch and the photographs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to pause. How do you decide what is placard number 1?
Okay, so I'm extremely particular about my crime scene. So when I was asked to take control of this crime scene, I try to put whatever's the beginning of the crime scene, which is the center of the crime scene. And this particular crime scene, it was this vehicle. So we evidence marker, the vehicle is actually evidence marker 1. And before we open any vehicle and look at any vehicle, I go through all of everything that's on the outside of the vehicle. So as law enforcement officers, we go ahead and render every gun safe, made sure the slide is back at the chamber, and then we place them in the boxes and let the crime scene techs take them from there.
Now, to orient where plaque number 89 is for the jury, publishing 118 Charlie again. Where was the money and blood in placard 89 in this crime scene sketch?
On the back right side, passenger side of the vehicle.
I'm now Detective Ben going to publish 107 Charlie. Were there any rounds in this magazine?
Yes.
No further questions from the state. Thank you, Detective Ben.
Cross. Into the car. Do you see that item that looks like there's, it's, I'm going to say black in color or dark in color?
Yes.
And do you know what that item is?
No.
Okay. Is it inside the car? And if you can't tell, just say.
It is inside.
All right, pay attention real quick. They not supposed to move stuff around in the car. You know what I'm saying? Not before they take pictures of it, at least. So look, you see this toolbox. It's black, right? You see the black on the toolbox. Now watch.
At the car, yes.
All right. I'm going to skip one number, but I promise you I'll come right back to it. If we could show 157.
Shout out to Chan, my black is golden. I see you.
Do you see what has been marked and entered into evidence as Mr. Williams number 157?
Yes.
And this is the rear seat of the car.
Now look at the toolbox. It got a sticker on the top and it's upside down, and the stuff is, I don't know if the stuff was poured out before or not, but they flipped the toolbox over for sure.
All right.
That's correct.
And you didn't put any items there. You wouldn't let anyone do that.
Correct.
That would be totally inappropriate, right?
That's correct.
That would be tampering with evidence, tampering with a crime scene, right?
Absolutely.
So here, in the passenger rear, there is items, correct?
Yes.
And let's just go through some of these items, if that's okay with you. On the ground, it looks like to me, and we're going to show other pictures, but on the floor, well, I guess the floorboard, do you see what's called, it says it looks like the insignia for Burger King. Do you see something like that?
Yes.
Okay. And do you see in front of it or next to it, I guess, what later is found to be a cell phone?
Yes.
And do you see underneath that item is what was found later to be a cell phone? Do you see that?
Yes.
Would you do me a favor and just, for the ladies and gentlemen jury, just circle and go in order and just tell them what you're looking at. First the Burger King, second cell phone, third cell phone, or first cell phone, second cell phone.
Burger King. Cell phone. And I believe the other cell phone is over there somewhere.
All right, we just saw the picture that showed the other cell phone right here on the floor. Why she didn't circle that one? She acting like she don't know what it is, the one closest to us, when you could obviously see that's a cell phone. It's next to a clip, but why she didn't circle it? Like she don't know what it is, but you can see under this cup and under this shirt over here, though.
What is closest, if you don't mind, to us, the way Mr. Kokomo blew it up on the floorboard? You see that item?
I'm not real 100% sure what that is.
Okay. Let's just talk
this
about.
photo.
That's fine. Let's just talk about, first of all, that what I'm calling a Burger King item. Okay. You can leave those up there if you don't mind.
Sorry.
It's fine. Just on Mr. Williams number 157, just point to or circle or something the Burger King item again, if you don't mind. On the screen.
Oh, what'd you need me to do? I'm sorry.
That's fine. Just what you did before. Just point to or.
Now she playing stupid, right?
Or circle the Burger on the screen.
Oh, what'd you need me to do? I'm sorry.
That's fine. Just what you did before. Just point to or circle the Burger King item. I want to talk about that for a minute.
Okay.
Okay. Do you know what type of texture, what type of compound that item is?
Objection, Your Honor. This is speculation on the texture of the Burger King cup sitting in the back of this car. Continues, yeah. What it's made of?
I'll let you free.
Do you know what that item is made of? And I don't need compounds, just is it paper, is it plastic, do you know?
Looks like styrofoam.
Okay, styrofoam. Now, do you know whether styrofoam holds, let's say, you know what DNA is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very well aware of DNA.
Just don't go into everything unless you need
Okay.
to. Just tell the ladies and gentlemen, jury, what is DNA and how does it use to police business that you do?
What type of DNA would you like for me to talk about?
Let's start with touch DNA.
Touch DNA is fairly new in the DNA world. Anything you touch nowadays, I can get DNA from. Everybody leaves epithelial cells behind. So that pencil that you guys are writing with, or that paper that you guys are writing with, or touching the side of a chair, you're going to leave behind part of your skin cells. We can come back and do touch DNA. Now, once it gets to the lab, that's another story, because it's going to depend on how many alleles they have, as to whether they can get a full STR genetic profile, if they need to go through mitochondrial DNA or YSTR DNA. It just depends. I would possibly get it from styrofoam. I've never actually swabbed styrofoam before. That would be a question for probably a DNA expert. However, I would think possibly prints. It also depends on, because styrofoam, the condensation on the outside of a styrofoam cup is pretty bad, and that can contaminate or get rid of DNA, and also can contaminate prints. Yeah, it's dead center.
Do you see it?
Mm-hmm. Dead center.
Can you do like, you know, the line?
Jack dancing for subs. He dancing for a sub, y'all. Somebody sub up.
And then go through, if you can, with the red line again. Do you see the, what I'll say looks like a yellow-black pen? You see a tool on the upper center part, a tool looking, it's silver and black handle. Can you do a red mark if you see that item? Do you see, and Mr. Kokomo can make it clear if you need it, but God bless you. Do you see gloves, like work gloves?
Mm-hmm.
Can you just do something?
Oh.
Okay. And do you see like what I'll call some sort of strap? Do you see that item?
I'm assuming you're talking about this black.
Yeah. Do you know what that is?
No.
Okay. And then do you see the red? You already said that there are no shell casings found in that car when you took the photographs that you noticed, right?
No, that's not what I said.
What did you say?
And also, if y'all didn't realize, hold on, let me run back real quick.
I said that I was
found in.
I'm assuming.
So how is somebody sitting there? How is Young Thug tall self in the back seat plus DK sitting on there on top of all this stuff?
And you're talking about this black.
Yeah. Do you know what that is?
No.
Okay. And then do you see the red? You already said that there are no shell casings found in that car when you took the photographs that you noticed, right?
No, that's not what I said.
What did you say?
I said that I was not looking for shell casings, therefore I did not go looking for them. I did not see any, so I did not look for them.
Okay, but you didn't see any. True.
I wasn't looking for them, no.
Well, if you would have seen one, you would have photographed it, right?
Yes, it would have been photographed. It was in plain view, yes.
And it would have been collected.
No.
It would have been left for Detective Quinn?
No, I would have called Detective Quinn and asked what he wanted us to do with the shell casing.
Okay. Tell the ladies and gentlemen jury any evidence you have that a gun was fired from inside that car anytime from the time that Robertson L. was involved to the time that that car was walked up upon by you.
That's not a question I can answer.
Do you have any evidence that a firearm
That's literally not a question I can answer. The only thing I can answer is how I processed that scene and the firearms that I took. I cannot tell you if there was any evidence inside that car to suggest that a firearm was fired because I did not process that car.
You said that you collect any evidence that may be important. Did you say something like that?
That's not what I said. I said my job on scene was to photograph the scene, preserve what was inside except for the firearms and the cell phones. I took those out, and that's because I was advised to. Rendered the firearms safe, handed the cell phones, I believe, over to Detective Quinn, and then anything else.
But she don't want to say there was no shell casings or no signs of a firearm being fired in the car.
Else that was involving that car was to be processed at a later date. And the car was then to be transported after being escorted down to the annex.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Anyone else? Anything further?
No, Your Honor.
All right. May Detective Benton be permanently temporarily excused the witness.
Your Honor, temporarily.
All right, Detective Benton, I'm going to temporarily excuse you as a witness. For now, you're free to go about your user dues and avocation. We'll give you plenty of head time when we need to call you back. Please don't discuss your testimony with anybody except the attorneys in this case, okay?
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, madam.
She definitely started having an attitude. She was ready to go.
Video?
No.
Okay. Is there a specific person in charge of collecting relevant surveillance video?
Yes, our Homeland Security Unit.
You said Homeland Security Unit?
Yes.
Okay. And is that part of APD?
Yes.
Okay, so there is a unit within APD whose primary purpose is to collect relevant surveillance video.
No.
Okay, explain that to me.
Within our Homeland Security Unit, we have cyber investigators who are experts in collecting video surveillance or DVR systems, and because they've gone through the specific training. They do a lot of other things within the Homeland Security Unit, but they're the people that we rely on when we call and we see there's video surveillance. We call them and have them come download the video surveillance or pull everything from the DVR system, unless we take the system back to them.
So we have people within APD with specialized training that the lead detective can call to ensure that relevant surveillance is collected.
That's
or at least
correct.
an attempt is made to collect.
That's correct.
Okay. And to collect relevant surveillance, are there times where the business owner consents to the collection?
Yes.
Okay, and if a business owner doesn't consent, what legal mechanisms do you have to obtain relevant surveillance video?
A search warrant.
A search warrant. Okay, so you can, as a lead detective, you can apply for a search warrant, obtain a search warrant, and then arm the Homeland Security Unit with said search warrant.
If the judge foresees and agrees that there's enough probable cause, then yes.
Okay, and who's the individual that makes the decision to apply for a search warrant for surveillance video?
The decision will be made solely off of either the lead detective or another detective that he's working with.
Okay, lead detective. Okay, let me, you said you have 15 years experience in homicide investigations. I'd like to talk about time frames for the availability of videos. Is it fair to say, before I go into specifics, is it fair to say that the time frame for the availability of video differs from business to business, system to system?
That's correct.
Okay. Are there, assuming that video surveillance is recorded at a business, what are some of the time frames that you've seen as an investigator, as far as how long the surveillance video is maintained by businesses?
The minimal time that I've seen is 12 hours, and the video is immediately overridden by another video, up to a couple of weeks.
Okay. A couple weeks. Mr. Prothrow, Mr. Murphy, you see that?
It lists 3 subjects, not suspects.
What did I say?
You said suspects. They're not
apologize.
suspects, they're subjects.
I apologize. Thank you. And then it has victim, and that's an officer. You know that?
I know Roberson L, yes.
Officer. Okay. All right. Now.
Look, y'all see the difference, the way she talked to Shard compared to Steele?
This was submitted, if you can tell, to the crime lab. Let's see the date. Do you know the date?
I don't know the date of submission. I know the date of the report.
Let's see if you go down a little bit, if you don't mind. Madam President, I think that's you. You see where it says October 24th, 2013 in the center, and the following evidence was submitted. Do you see that?
Yes.
So that's approximately a month and maybe 13 days after September 11, 2013. Does that sound right?
Sounds about right, yes.
And the crime lab would accept things, when I say things, items to test at any time, as long as it was from an agency with law enforcement. Is that true?
Between the hours of 9 and 4, yes. Okay. On Monday through Friday.
Okay. All right. November 9, 2013?
Yes.
And that would be 2 days before 9/11, 2013, right?
Yes, and yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you, and thank you so much.
Yes.
They have crime scene technicians.
No. They have crime scene investigators.
Okay.
Their crime scene investigators are sworn. They're not civilians, are civilians. So we have crime scene technicians, and they have crime scene investigators.
Okay. And then I'm not saying they don't have.
All right, that's a key point. You hear what she said? She said, no, there's a difference because they're sworn. We're not sworn. We can do whatever we want because we're not sworn in, but they're more official because they're sworn in to do the right thing.
Other sections, but then
sworn. Yes.
They have crime scene technicians.
No. They have crime scene investigators.
Okay.
Their crime scene investigators are sworn. They're not civilians, are civilians. So we have crime scene technicians, and they have crime scene investigators.
Okay. And then I'm not saying they don't have other sections, but then they have scientists.
Asked what he wanted us to do with the shell casing.
Okay. Tell the ladies and gentlemen jury any evidence you have that a gun was fired from inside that car anytime from the time that Robertson L. was involved to the time that that car was walked up upon by you.
That's not a question I can answer.
Do you have any evidence that a firearm
That's literally not a question I can answer. The only thing I can answer is how I processed that scene and the firearms that I took. I cannot tell you if there was any evidence inside that car to suggest that a firearm was fired because I did not process that car.
You said that you collect any evidence that may be important. Did you say something like that?
That's not what I said. I said my job on scene was to photograph the scene, preserve what was inside, except for the firearms and the cell phones. I took those out, and that's because I was advised to. Rendered the firearms safe, handed the cell phones, I believe, over to Detective Quinn. And then anything else that was involving that car was to be processed at a later date. And the car was then to be transported after being escorted down to the annex.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Approach the witness stand. All right. Raise your right hand and take the oath.
I do. Sharon Latners.
Everybody's favorite.
SHARON-LATNERS.
Sniffles.
Welcome back, Ms. Ladner.
Okay.
I hope you're doing all right today.
I am. Thank you.
Now,
13254, September 11.
Almost out of here, family. Appreciate y'all being here. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, tap in, share with a friend. Had a great time with y'all tonight. We wrapping up right now. Much love to everybody.
2013,
What time was the call initiated?
10:40 a.m. hours,
And what time was the call received?
10:45 a.m. hours.
What was the location this last this call?
2614 Old Hateville Road Southwest, Apartment 6, Atlanta.
And what zone indeed was this call in reference to?
Zone 3, 310's beat.
Now, Ms. Landers, up at the top, it says 4-5 larceny. Can you explain what that means?
It's larceny is someone car broken into. That's our sickness for police.
And is that the call type and description of this initial call when it came in?
Yes.
What time did the first responders arrive?
They my kids. I took off all my necklaces. Gonna see the plot twist. Magnificent preferences. You can tell by the letterman. You can tell by the letterman.
A continuing objection to any ruling sustaining that type of objection.
I'm not inclined to do that because there are circumstances where predicate facts have not been introduced before the fact finder, and that objection would be valid. No. Why didn't you, as an officer of this court, tell me? And that's not what the point is. The point is, you as an advocate, is you should have told me. I got a problem with you now. I got a problem with you now. I would suggest you don't say any more. Now you want to have it both ways. You can't do it. Both sides have an equal responsibility under the rules. It's a professional responsibility. All right, have a seat, sir. Thank you.
How fast things have changed. How fast things have changed. How fast things have changed.
Now I see you running, coming for my come up. Broke out all your shackles, turned it to some armor. Used to be the judge, but now you have no honor. To die with your pride is to live with all your karma. Now you understand. Now you understand.
Another night of crime. There's a lot of money talking about. All right. Anybody else have any other issues as to?
Uh-oh. Fulton County has no problem coming in here and cuffing all of us, okay? Don't be an idiot.
Are you trying to tell me about myself? You homeless, and you don't even have a mirror to look at yourself.
Here. So I know you all about your principles. But can we just please just listen to Earl so we can get out of here? It's 4 cops on the other side of that door. You know if they come in here, they're gonna get your ass on a whole lot of other shit.
You lying ass bitch.
I knew it. Mama, I hate you, Will.
Don't you never come back to my house, no.
And I hope they blow your motherfucking ass to smithereens.
You better hope they do, bitch. You better hope they do.
This nigga kidnapped me.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth! What are you, fucking nuts?
You thought?
All right. We out of here. Much love. Appreciate y'all all. Shout out to Aries One. Shout out to Brandy P. Shout out to Tall Glass. Shout out to FFS. Shout out to Steph JK. My fault. Shout out to Chan My Black is Golden. Shout out to Aries One, if I didn't say that already. Shout out to Batty Low. Shout out to Black Butterfly. Shout out to M Shannon. Let's see who else we got. Shout out to Texas T. Appreciate y'all all, family. Shout out to T and Big G. Appreciate y'all showing up, showing out. Shout out to 901 Diva, Don Diva. My bad, y'all. I'm tired. I can't read. I'm hungry. I gotta go. Much love. I'm out.